Wheels underway. Stamps his authority once again.
My word, this could go wrong.
On the brakes, goodness me, what a launch.
Look at that.
It just all comes down to this. Right, welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to round number 5 of your season. We will have the main race underway later on at the regular time of 8:30, but instead we are going to have on your screens just for the time being, we're going to have our sprint race, which is going to be underway very, very shortly. My name is Joseph Black. I'll be taking you through all of the action alongside, of course, Kyle SW. And I mean, Kyle, it's the first sprint race of the season, so the first sprint race for a couple of our drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, welcome everybody, and yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Excuse me. Oh, there was something in my throat there. Yeah, it's obviously around Belgium, so realistically there are only 8 laps, I believe, but 8 very long laps, longest race on the calendar, of course. So yeah, they're very long ones, but yeah, only 8 laps to enjoy at this present moment in time. But obviously, join us 8:30 for the main race, where we'll be doing a qualifying session, and then of course we will be doing the full laps of the race. I actually don't know how many are. I thought in my head I knew, but I don't know. I'm going to assume it's around early 20s, but we'll find out then. But yeah, a few drivers have never joined us for a sprint, quite new to the league. So the likes of Alexander Vickel, who's on the grid, and who else have we got new on the grid? Harrison's not actually with us today. Well, yeah, the likes of Alexander Vickel has never done a sprint with us, so I'm sure he'll do well. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. Owen Boldero has actually messaged me earlier in the day and has said that he has set the fastest time in time trial out of everyone in the league, and he's feeling confident about winning this sprint. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he's able to pull that one off.
Should be very good to watch indeed. And well, we will be getting racing action on your screens very shortly. We will see whether Owen Boldero can live up to expectations. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting one with all of the drivers. Of course, it's short and sharp, and I believe it's 8 laps for the sprint. I think it's 22 for the race itself. So just a little bit of a unique situation for the drivers to contend with here today, because of course they get 8 extra laps, but 8 extra laps is quite a lot. As I can see your invites coming in, I'm connected to EA Services, which is my favourite thing that they've added to this game cycle. And well, now I'm having to pick my fan zone team. So
that's always annoying.
I don't understand why it's a thing. I really don't understand why it's a thing that happens, but yeah, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, we will just have to deal with it. At least they're not trying to sell us couches or anything like that anymore. But yeah, the quirks and fun things in the F125 game that, of course, we're stuck with for 2 years. But yeah, should be very, very good to see ourselves racing around Belgium here today. And I mean, iconic circuit. There's so many iconic moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's going back to the fan zone thing. Like, I'm not against it, but it should be in a different part of the game. It shouldn't be as you're trying to join a lobby and it says, choose now. It should be, if I want to do it, I'll go into the menu and do it. But there's a lot of things that we want in this game that, unfortunately, they don't let us have. So, yeah, that's going to be one of those things. But yeah, a lot of very important moments happened here. Of course, some not so great. Obviously, in the likes of F2. And yeah, obviously some really fun ones. Some really. I mean, I'd love to tell you off the top of my head some of those, but annoyingly, I can't actually think of any. But yeah, it's one of those tracks where I don't think you'll ever see it go. I know that they are putting it on the calendar a little less going forward, but you'll never see them remove it completely. It's just going to be one of those tracks that will be with us. I mean, Forever's probably a big claim, but close enough to Forever, I would say. But it's a nice track. I am never particularly that good at it, but I definitely enjoy driving it. It's one of those ones. But yeah, we'll be obviously getting underway very shortly.
Yeah, we certainly will. I'm able to get in the lobby, so we'll be getting going within a minute's time, I think, and we will get our racing action underway very, very soon for 8 laps of the Belgian sprint race. Of course, join us at 8:30 for the main race itself, but as a little bit of a preamble, we are going to be getting underway, and, well, perfect timing. We're going to be able to go trackside to the formation lap, ladies and gentlemen, and as you can see, it is a reverse sprint race. So it's a reverse grid for the sprint race. We're going to have Alexander De Vickel on that pole position. Brian Moore will be alongside him, and well, that's the 2 Haas cars in the top 2 rows of the grid. It's the 2 Kick Saubers as well, with Connor Stewart-Woodard and followed by Matthew Gatches. Ethan Shackleton, 5th place, and alongside him will be Bert Welly, Lucas Aracini in 7th, and then Owen Boldero, Ollie Matthews, and Andrea Chenkovan will round out our 10-car grid. But it's a very, very good 10-car grid indeed. Of course, not all of our drivers, neither of the Williams drivers joining us for the sprint race. And, well, it means that everybody has a teammate, which will make for an interesting dynamic if they do decide to work together. We did see the 2 Aston Martins working very well last time out. But, yeah, we shall wait and see indeed. I obviously don't know at this point because I haven't seen the attendance officially. Are we going to be getting the Williams later?
We should be getting Regan, but I believe Harrison gave a late notification that he won't be making it. I've got back not very long ago back to my seat here, so I need to catch up on all that. But I believe Harrison won't be here for the main race. That same goes for Arias Stone and Daniel Riley. So not a full grid, unfortunately, this time out. Obviously, just to mention obviously to the viewers that, because of the time the sprint race is, it's optional for all of our drivers. You know, it's not a mandatory race that they need to do. So, yeah, so they don't turn up. They don't have to tell us they're not going to turn up. They just basically arrive if they're able to. But the main race is obviously mandatory, and they let us know in advance if they can't make it. So, but yeah, to say, you know, everyone's got a teammate here. One very exciting thing as well to mention that the RBs, they are actually in the team radio chat together as well. So this week we've got the Saubers, the Astons, and the RBs and the Racing Bulls, all in their team radio chat. So it's quite nice to see them being used. I think this is the first season someone other than myself and my old teammate actually use those channels, so it's good to see that. So everyone's going to be working together. It's going to be the Ferraris are going to be the only team, and the Hasses, the only 2 teams who won't be talking to each other during the race, but I'm sure they will discuss something prior. Reverse championship order. I'm not sure if we mentioned that, so that's why they're in the order they are, and we're going to get ready for the 5 red lights then.
We certainly are. It's going to be Alexander De Vickel pointing towards the outside line of the first corner. Alongside him, it will be the Kick Sauber facing the inside, and the lights are going to come on for the start of our first sprint race of the season. There's 5. The drivers are ready. And the action's underway. Owen Boldero gets a jump start straight away. It's not a good start for the Aston Martins because Ollie Matthews also was on the grid for a very long time. It's going to be very wide into the first corner from Alexander De Vickel, and Connor Stewart-Woodard and Brian Moore will make it a Sauber 1-2. Matthew Gatches pulling alongside Moore on the exit. Might get through on both of the Saubers, but not quite yet, as Owen Boldero already out of the session, spinning out of the first corner, and a terrible start for both of the Aston Martins. Bert Welly through on Brian Moore as they head up Eau Rouge and Radion and down the Kemmel Straight, and it will be Connor fighting with Gatches for the race lead. Bert Welly, big contact between himself and Moore, but he's been able to keep it going, and Matthew Gatches holds on to that race lead. Seracini challenging Moore for 4th place, has been able to make the move, and in the meantime both of the Ferraris lurking on the back of Brian, as after turn number 1 he's not had the greatest of starts, and he might well drop down to 6th place.
Absolutely. What a fantastic start that was then. Yeah, that was that was a very fun one. And Alexander Vickel then, not Alexander Vickel, I just realised, I thought Alexander Vickel got the lead back. He didn't, did he? It was Matt Gatches then who got the lead. So I completely misunderstood which Haas was doing what there. So that's a crazy one. Connor Stewart-Woodard then, probably the first time, as he goes wide and almost loses the car entirely. Probably the first time he's led a race, I think, in ABC. I'm sorry if that's not correct. As Matt Gatches then goes wide himself, so he gets on the curb and got thrown wide, and that allows Bert to rather run on him. But yeah, apologies to Connor if that's wrong, but I feel like he's not led a race very often, if at all. So yeah, that was an absolutely wild one then. It looks like the Racing Bulls are going to cycle up. Looks like Bert's going to take it now, and Lucas Saracini's also going to come on through then. So that's always good to see. It looks like Ethan Shackleton then, not having the best start. Owen Boldero having a disaster of a start then. No idea what happened there. I did see him restart his game, so I'm assuming something's happened there. He has got the opportunity to rejoin. He can get back in, but yes, he has a drive-through penalty to serve, and his AI is probably going to do that for him. Probably this lap coming.
Most likely is what's going to happen. As you can see the pause screen, apologies for that. We'll turn on the OBS virtual camera so we can see what everyone is doing. Burt Welly gets a great run out of Radion. He's able to pull alongside and ahead of Matthew Gatch's. Bit of contact between Seracini and Gatch's, but in the end Seracini makes his way through. It's a 1-2 for the V-Carbs at the moment, and well, it was a couple of interesting moments, teamwork between the two V-Cubs, especially out of the final corner, trying to push Matthew Gatch's wide. But, well, he really tried to give him a go, but in the end was unsuccessful, but it doesn't matter anyway because he's been able to make his way through in the end, and it's a 1-2 for the team, so it's a very good start for the outfit as Owen Boldero, as you say, has come into the pit lane. Everybody in the DRS, apart from Alexander Vikkel, who of course started on that pole position, did not have a great start. He and Brian and Connor Stewart-Woodard have not benefited from the reverse grid race start, unfortunately, at this point in time. But of course the two V-Carbs have, and they are the biggest gainers at this point in time. Andrea Chenkovan is making his way through the field. He's 4th place at the moment, and of course he started in last, so he's doing a very good job to make his way further up the field. He's in the top half, and he might be challenging for a podium on Matthew Gatch's, especially because Gatch's doesn't have the DRS. Not that it matters, because Chenkovan gets through anyway. Ollie Matthews through on Brian Moore in the meantime, so 2 moves made as they headed through Blanchimont.
Absolutely, yes. Ethan Shackleton then is going to go side by side with Connor Stewart-Woodard then through the bus stop chicane there, and he looks like he's pulled that off. He has absolutely pulled it off, and he'll now be looking to hunt down his teammate Brian Moore. This seems to be the Ethan Shackleton we saw at the beginning of the season and not the Ethan Shackleton we saw last time out, which is a bit of a strange one. I'm not sure what's happened to Ethan this season. He's been very up and down. So hopefully, he'll have some better races, and hopefully the main race will be a lot better for him. I'm sure he'll be able to start further up the order with a qualifying session that will happen prior to that. But yeah, so the RBs working well together. So the two teams that work really well together are the RBs and the Aston Martins, of course. With Owen Boldero then having dropped out the session, and had a drive-through penalty, not been a fantastic start for him. He is back in the session now, so he will hope for something to happen further up ahead. Just a reminder for everyone, only the top 8 will score here in this sprint. So Owen Boldero will be hoping for either a safety car or 2 disastrous coming together. That didn't really make any sense, but 2 cars coming together further up the field to allow him to go back. But actually, he's actually pit again, so not sure what's happening there. You probably won't be lapped. He still has a chance to finish on the lead lap, but this is definitely a far from ideal start for Owen Boldero. In fact, that's the drive-through penalty, isn't it? So, I'm not sure what happened earlier. I'm not sure what his AI did then. He must have stopped for tyres, maybe? That's very odd. But, as Ollie Matthews he's going to go side by side with Matthew Gatch's. Will he pull it off? At the moment, yes, but it's a long straight still to come yet.
Beautiful switchback from Ollie Matthews. Tried to tempt Matthew Gatchis to defend the outside line, which he did, and then he picked up the much better inside line and made his way through. Matthew Gatchis looking for a move back potentially. Is he going to try and go for the move as Connor Stewart-Woodard picks up our first penalty of the day? No, he doesn't. Ethan Shackleton, though, is going to get through on Brian Moore and will have to fight his way to get back into the DRS of Matthew Gatchis. Won't have it down the straight, nor will Ollie Matthews, and Gatchis will try to be able to capitalise, but can't quite do so yet. It'll be up to Blanchimont. It'll be up through, not Blanchimont, through the Kemmel Straight, which is where he's going to try and make the move. Connor drops another position, or no, he actually gains another position on Alexander Vikkel. I thought he was going to drop back behind, but no, he made his way through, and it looks like there might have been a bit of contact, and Connor is going to allow Alexander back through and up into 8th place. Chenkovan, Lucas Erasini, and Burt Welly then. This looks like it's going to develop into the fight for the leaders. We're over halfway through this race now. It's absolutely flying by, and the two V-Cubs at the very top of the field are looking absolutely dominant. But as we know, Andrea Chenkovan is the quickest driver, and he will be trying to make his way through these two who are going to be working together as a team. Seracini is going to try and hold off Chenkovan, I think, as much as he can. I think that's going to be the game plan here, because if he can stay within 9/10 of a second of Burt, then he'll be able to just hold on as they head down the straights, which will be a huge advantage, because that's the benefit and that's the biggest part that you're going to gain from around this circuit. It will be the DRS straights, it will be the main straight, and it will be up the Kemmel Straight as well. So if Seracini can stay within 9/10 of a second of his teammate, he's got a decent fighting chance of having a go at Chenkovan here.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Chenkovan, of course, is the fastest driver. He is the Verstappen of APC. However, actually, he is Hassan in the back of Lucas Saraceni. So Lucas Saraceni has defended that corner very, very well, not given any space for Andrew Chenkovan to come through. Now, I will be assuming he'll be doing the same into the bus stop chicane, which he is. So this is what he needs to do. He needs to keep Chenkovan behind at all costs, and this will protect his teammate up ahead. However, Andrew Chenkovan he always gets those good exits somehow. He always manages to get that one extra percentage that the other drivers can't. So they'll be hoping to mitigate that as we go through the session. But yeah, another 4 laps left to go then. So we've just crossed the halfway point. So 4 more laps left to go. And I'll be interested to see if they will be able to hold him behind. Of course, Luca running in Bert's DRS will help him defend from Andrew Chenkovan, but as you can see here, he's got a fantastic run down the Kemmel Straight, and he will be looking to pull out. Luca will defend this. I will be surprised if he doesn't, which he does. Just shows his hand there and says, if you go for it, I will be there. But pulls back in just before the corner, and it's them 3 in the same order for another lap then.
It was a late defensive move from Luca Saraceni into the braking zone of the chicane. It was very late from Saraceni, in fact. I think he wasn't going to go and defend unless Chenkovan went for a move. And the fact that Chenkovan went relatively late meant that Luca Saraceni had to go even later. But in the end, he was able to save himself, carry on, and he will just keep doing the same thing. He actually came in last week to speak to us in the interview room for the first time since I've been here, as that's another shaped move from Chenkovan late. I think he knows that Saraceni is going to be defending basically as soon as Chenkovan is going to try and make the move. I think that's the idea from Saraceni here, and I think Chenkovan's already sussed that out and has decided that he's going to try and work against it. He's going to try and scare Luca into making a late defensive move that is too late. By that time, Chenkovan will have made his way through, or it'll be too late, and Luca Saraceni will have to outbrake himself, and then Chenkovan can make his way through anyway. But at the moment, a very good rear guard from the Italian, who remains in second place, and I think they might even go side by side, the two V-Carbs, just to cut off a bit more of the circuit as they head down to turn number 1. Saraceni doesn't quite get the exit to be able to do that. That is a strategy they can deploy, and I think Chenkovan's going to start to have a little bit of frustration eke into his game, but with 3 laps left, he's still got plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, Andrew is going to probably have to take him by surprise somewhere. Do a move where he's not expecting it, although he has had a great exit here then. So Luca is going to find it very hard to defend, and actually he might go past Bert here. They're going to swap, but they're not. So Bert isn't defending this at all. It's actually going to break really late though, and so they both break extremely late there, much later than Andrew Chenkovan even dares, and are able to both get in the corner, although in the opposite order. So I wonder if this is a setup thing. If Andrew Chenkovan has much less downfalls, which means he is so much faster on the straights, but he's not able to brake that late because he won't make the corner. So that's potentially what's at play there. I was expecting to see Bert defend that as Luca went past, so they can DRS swap and then the other one defends, but he didn't. Yeah, he kind of let them go side by side, but was able to break out later and keep that one. So as I was saying, yeah, Andrew Chenkovan will probably need to take him by surprise if he's going to win this one then, because they're doing extremely well to defend. Luca will need to be very careful at how he defends, although Bert is now the car obviously ahead of Andrew Chenkovan, but if it becomes Luca again, he does need to be very careful how he goes about doing that, because a late move can end up in a crash. I think it's been fair so far, but that could easily change as they're now going side by side. Then Bert Welly and Andrew Chenkovan are going to take it all the way to the bottom of chicane. Andrew Chenkovan completely cuts the corner there. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a warning, but that has worked for him then, and now he has a free run, and he's been span out by Bert then. So that is unbelievable. So into the bus stop chicane. Looks like Bert broke well too late and hit the rear end of Andrew Chenkovan and spanning round. So this could be Andrew Chenkovan's chance at the win in the sprint race thwarted.
Was there actually contact between the two? I couldn't quite see. I tried to watch the replay, which of course you may well be doing on the replay after the race, but I didn't see that there was any contact between the two. But either way, Chenkovan's dropped down, and it will be the two V-Cubs back in control of this race, and with no pressure from behind, but Chenkovan will be angry, and Chenkovan will be trying to chase in now and make his way through a bit more aggressively than maybe he did before. We might see the stewards' involvement post-race. We're not going to we're not going to try and talk about that at all. We're not going to create any rumours that don't need to be created, because of course we are not the stewards, as Alexander de Vickel picks up a 3-second time penalty. He joins both Kick Saubers in that party, and well, Vickel was fighting very aggressively earlier on. We weren't able to catch much of it on the broadcast, but he was fighting a lot earlier on with Connor Stewart Woodard, so it's a surprise that he's dropped off so aggressively as Burt Welly runs too wide, and that's a 3-second time penalty added to the V-Carb's name. That will drop him not just one place, not just two, not just three, but at the moment, as it stands, he will drop all the way down to 5th for Burt Welly from the race lead. His teammates going to have to do some incredible teamwork on the final lap.
Yeah, so with that incident, I'm not actually 100% sure if they came together. I mean, it looked from my angle like they did, but of course, I'm not 100% sure on that. However, yes, that's how I said that. But yeah, if they did, that will absolutely be sent to the steward. So they'll obviously be able to decide that. That is not for me to do. One thing while we discussed the stewards, another battle that has been going on for a while here, and actually these will be on the replay cam. Some of these moves is Connor Stewart-Woodard and Alexander Vickel for the final point. Then they have been going side by side. They have been swapping positions, but they've also hit each other a few times. So I'm expecting to see some stewards reports there as well. Now, two things can happen here. Lucas Erasini can try and back up Andrei Chenkovan and actually Andrei Chenkovan, I don't know, this is a gap to leader. Try and back him up and try and allow his teammate to get that 3 seconds on this final lap, or they can swap and Burt can just sacrifice his race and then to hold up the pack behind and let Lucas Erasini try and go for the win. I think the former, will probably be the preferred option, so then they both can get on the podium. But it really depends if they think they can hold Chenkovan off. But we're on the final lap now then, so it's very, very doable, although Burt now is looking to run away. So actually, this strategy could be getting deployed now, but Andrei Chenkovan will be wise to it. He's a very, very smart driver, and he'll know that this potentially is something that they might think about and might try to go past in an unorthodox place. But I'm sure he'll do it safely, of course. So let's see how this last lap goes. Lucas Erasini is dropping off the back. Whether this is intentional or not, I do not know. But this is probably the last chance he's going to have to hold up Andrei Chenkovan, because after you get around this corner, it's basically flat to the bus stop chicane, and he won't be able to hold him up much longer. So, I'm excited to see how this one's going to end, as we're very much almost there. How time has flown, and actually he's going to go side by side. Is Luka going to be able to defend this one? So far, so good, but Andrei Chenkovan is carrying so much more speed through there, but I'll let you take the final corners.
Where it was absolutely intentional, him trying to hold off Andrei Chenkovan, but in the end, with that straight line speed of the Ferrari, it was inevitable that it wasn't going to be Burt Welly to take the victory. It will be Lucas Erasini for his first win, Andrei Chenkovan in second, and Ollie Matthews will snatch that final podium position. Ethan Shackleton will come home in 4th, with Burt Welly dropping to 5th. Matthew Gatches in 6th, and then the 2 kick Saubers 7th and 8th, with the Haas of Alexander Vickel, who will come home 9th, and Owen Boldero, who will limp home in 10th and final position. But it was never really going to be on, was it? He really gave it his best shot, did Luca. Really tried to hold off all of the drivers behind him. He was able to get it up to 2.6 seconds, but as soon as the slipstream came on around Blanchimont after No Name, that was curtains, I think, for the defence of the race lead, and that is very unfortunate for Burt Welly. But promising signs of things to come, maybe, for the V-Carbs.
Yeah, absolutely. You really have to do it in the corners where it's hard to overtake. So there's a few options here on the lap where you can do it, but I think Luca didn't really do enough in those corners when it counted, because once you've got past it, once you've got into the third sector, there is absolutely no way of doing it. There's no chance at all. So involved there, I have no idea. He's going to go over the line in reverse then. So finishing in style with 0 points, unfortunately. Connor Stewart-Woodard was able to eventually finish ahead of Alexander Vickel. So Alexander Vickel still trying to get that first point, if I'm not mistaken, in APC. But I'm sure that will come very soon.
Yeah, certainly will. It will be Lucas Erasini taking the victory, Andrei Chenkovan in 2nd place, and Ollie Matthews rounding out the podium for your sprint race. Ethan Shackleton picks up 4th place, and Burt Welly in 5th. Matthew Gatches takes home 6th, and the 2 kick Saubers, Brian Moore ahead of Connor Stewart-Woodard, will be 7th and 8th. Alexander Vickel will be 9th, and then rounding out the top 10, and all of the drivers was Owen Boldero, whose backwards driver was probably quicker than his forwards driving throughout the course of that race, although he did, of course, pick up fastest lap. But that is the end of our sprint race. And, well, it's looking good for the main race itself.
Yeah, let me first correct myself. Alexander Vickel does have 2 points to his name, so apologies for suggesting that he doesn't. But he'll obviously want many more if he possibly can. But, if the main race is anything like that, then this is going to be a great one. As much as we expect to see Andriychenko van starting a lot higher up than last, of course. But if he can, if anything happens, has a bad qualifying, something like that, and he has to fight his way through again, then that's going to be a fantastic one. The Racing Bulls look like they are going to do well out of this one. Whether they can do another win, it's yet to be seen, but they'll definitely get a great result. Ollie Matthews then, top three again, so showing great pace this season, and he will be looking to continue that in the main race. Obviously, he's currently in second in the standings, so the closest rival to Andriychenko van, so he'll hope to get closer. But yeah, the main race, I'm sure that's going to be 22 laps of absolute chaos in the good way, and hopefully all the drivers will finish as they did here, although one did finish backwards. But we'll see if he will do better. That being Owen Baldero, he'll do better in the main race if he's able to not disconnect.
Certainly will be. I did ask you a question in DMs, but I will ask it once again. Do we do interviews after the sprint or not? I don't
We don't do interviews after the sprint, no.
So I can see Ollie Matthews raring to go.
Oh yeah, no. But the main race is so soon that if we did interviews, we'd end up going straight into the race. So.
Well, that's exactly what I thought. So I will leave it there. But that was very, very, very good in terms of a sprint race. It's a sign of things to come, maybe for the Racing Bulls. But either way, it's going to be a very exciting evening of action. There's your 8 laps of the Belgium sprint race. We're going to be having the 22 laps very, very shortly. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I don't know if I picked up the first part of that sentence, but regardless, welcome back to another race this evening. Our second action of the day. We're here for the main race. We've got 22 laps of Belgium ahead of us. We've also got qualifying, as we've got a lot of action still to go this evening. My name is Joseph Black, taking you through the action. I'll be alongside Carl Stuart Woodard, just like I was, or Kyle SW, even just like I was for the sprint race. We will be back, and we will be back watching cars go around the just over 7 kilometres of Belgian circuit, which is, I mean, it's the longest circuit on the calendar, and it's the longest circuit on the calendar for a reason, and that reason being that it's actually more than they're actually allowed to have on the Formula One calendar. They make an exception for Spa, so it's always nice to see it raced and utilised, as it sometimes isn't. It feels like sometimes they miss out on Spa, but I'm going to experiment with this. Here's the track map. There's your over 7 kilometres of circuit that we will be racing around here this evening. That's this over 7 kilometres of circuit that we've already done 8 laps around, and then they'll do their qualifying, and then they'll head into the race session itself. It will loop around just because I'll continue to talk about the circuit. 3 sectors, of course, as every circuit has, 19 turns with 2 DRS zones, 1 down the main straight, 1 down the Kemmel straight, but the detection zone is before the massive rise up the hill, just before Eau Rouge. And it'll be very, very good to see drivers going for the overtaking opportunities, one being up Eau Rouge. We saw somebody attempt one on the first lap, and I think the prime ones will be into turn number 5, into turn number 18, which will be the final chicane on the circuit, and they'll be the main ones. Sector 2 is a bit more tricky, so there can be mistakes brought out that can see you really struggling, but we are now readying up, so we'll go back very briefly to our graphic that just tells us that it's race number 5. It's not static anymore, it's moving. So thoughts on that, chat? Anyway, I like it. I think it's very good. Anyway, we will be going into the race lobby very, very shortly, and well, we will see what will happen. Stinging our way down to the circuit, ladies and gentlemen. We've got our 11 cars on the racing circuit at the moment. Some drivers invalidated as it stands, and well, nobody has started lap until Alexander Vickel, so we'll watch on with the Haas driver as he heads down into the first corner and out of it, and up towards the most iconic corner potentially on the entire calendar, the Eau Rouge and Radion complex, and then up through the Kemmel Straight is going to be right down flat to the floor in the first full DRS zone on the lap from Alexander Vickel. Then braking down into the chicane, turn number 5, prime overtaking opportunity, riding over the curbing, then the curbing again, and then riding out to the curbing, and then going to the curbing, and then inside to the curbing, and then you're going to want to run wide to the curbing on the exit, and then suddenly you can get out of the curbing complex and down towards the next couple of braking zones, and that's exactly where you want to go. A couple of curbs that you can ride as well, and well, that's really what Sector 2 is about. It's all about riding those curbs, and Alexander Vickel avoiding a couple of them on his outlap, so he won't be going for this won't be his proper lap. He'll be pushing later on in the session, and we will see what he will be capable of. But this first one's just a banker, just a sighter, so he can get something on the board, so he can have a benchmark to work from. The number 21 Haas driver heads through the final sector, and well, he's being chased by a V-Cub. I believe that to be Bert Welly, right in behind Alexander Vickel. So it'll be a lovely, sumptuous bit of slipstream that the V-Car might be getting at the moment. And Vickel around the final couple of corners. His teammate, in fact, may well get in the way, which is not what he wants. No, he's out of the way nice and cleanly. He came through the bus-stop chicane a lot faster than I was expecting him to. Slide out of the final corner for Vickel, but he's going to get a 146, which is instantly displaced by the 142 from Bert Welly. Very much helped by that slipstream. But who's that? That's Alexis Mason, who's decided to join us for the race, going up to pole position, instantly displaced by Andrea Chenkovan. So everybody moving and shaking up this order. Ollie Matthews splitting Bert Welly and Alexander Vickel and going into 4th place. Brian Moore splitting the two as well. He's going to split Ollie Matthews this time and Vickel, and he goes up to 6th. Owen Boldero, final sector for him, as that's going to be one of the V-Carbs out of the way. That will be Bert Welly out of the way, and up to the line for Owen Boldero. In fact, it's going to be Luca Seracini out of the way. Owen Boldero, around the final couple of corners, wants to match Chenkovan's time at the top, but it's going to be a 1 minute 42.412. We are going to pause the game very briefly, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll be back to full speed racing. And, well, we'll see if that one has worked, and we'll be able to get live. Of course, if you're watching the replay, you'll be able to hear this. If you're watching it live, you're just watching a picture of the title card, which we had up a couple of moments ago, as Ethan Shackleton goes into 3rd place. And apologies for the technical issues that we have faced, but we should be able to have very, very good action, and I'm under the understanding that we are now live on YouTube. Wonderful. Welcome in everybody who is watching. I know at least one person who is watching from home. Matthew Gatches through the final corner, and I know quite a few of the drivers like to listen in as they're racing as well. Gatches with a couple of corners to go, and well, he is going to come to the end of his lap, and it'll be the end of the first set of runs, apart from Connor Stewart-Woodard, who joined late, and Gatches comes to the line with a 1 minute, what looks like it'll be a 44.694. Yes, it is. Ollie Matthews has crashed out of the session. That could be absolutely pivotal for the Aston Martin's day, which hasn't started very well, and he's just despawned as Connor Stewart goes around the corner. So we can't quite pick it up, but yeah, that'll be very unfortunate for Ollie Matthews.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So, hello, everybody. Apologies for my tardiness, but I have arrived, and unfortunately, I have no idea what happened to Ollie Matthews. So I wish I did. I wish I could see that. I wish I'd got that on the replay. But unfortunately, yeah, that's not great. So he has put in a banker, an okay banker, but I am expecting probably most of this field to go quicker than that at some point. So unfortunate, he's been doing so well throughout this season, and he's the closest challenger to championship leader and defending champion Alexandra Chenk. Oh my god, I can't get. Why do I do it with those two names? Andrea Chenkovan. I need to slap myself out of that. He's the nearest challenger then. That link was going so well. I was really happy with my commentary there. But the nearest challenger. So yeah, not ideal. He was hoping to get many more points. I mean, he may well stay in 6th position. We'll have to wait and see. He may well be able to fight back at some point during the race. But it's going to be a tall order when he's already behind Ethan Shackleton, Bert Welly, Owen Boldero, and Alexis Mason. So we'll have to see what that looks like in about 10 laps' time.
Yeah, Alexis Mason straight onto the pace and straight onto the front row of the grid for the Mercedes, which is a good start to her evening. She's 4 tenths ahead of Owen Boldero and 2 tenths in behind Andrea Chenkovan. Connor Stewart-Woodard then heading through the second sector, going to run a little bit wide, but is able to keep it. He's able to keep it in a straight line and able to keep it out of the dirty air of Regan Harding, which is the car that was ahead of him. Now behind him, has been able to get into the session, has made it on time as Regan Harding, and so he will be racing here today. 1:15.639 for Connor Stewart-Woodard in the second sector. excuse me, and he's going to come through to the third and finish off this lap time, which looks to be a decent one for Connor, and he'll try and beat his teammate with a 44.7. If he can get any better than that, then he will be in a great position. If he can get better than Ollie Matthews, even at this point in the session as well, he'll be doing great. Matthews with a 43.732 won't be improving on that time. Connor Shipwood to the line, and he will be 144.104. So beating the target of his teammate, but still a bit of work to do.
So he'll be hoping to take Ollie Matthews then, because Ollie Matthews isn't here to defend himself. So Connor will want to kick him while he's down, of course. As actually, that was a Racing Bulls. I'm not sure which one. Kind of looks like they got in the way of Ethan Shackleton. So if that is his best lap, I'm sure we'll be seeing that in the stewards' reports. But he might well leave it. This might be a bad lap for him anyway, and he might just decide to abandon it and do another fast one later, but we'll have to wait and see. He's going to come across the line then. It is going to be a 143.1, so it's an improvement for Ethan Shackleton, but not an improvement in position. But as I was saying, yeah, Connor will want to kick Ollie Matthews while he's down. So will everyone else behind him then. It's the best chance they're going to get of being ahead of Ollie Matthews. Yeah, he can't defend himself. He can't go faster, but yeah, Connor will. He's got loads of time. He's got plenty of time to go in and go again. Although with this track here, because it's one of the longest laps on the calendar, people don't usually go for 3 runs because it's quite hard to get 3 runs in, including in and out laps. So a lot of time they'll go for 3 runs, or 2 runs, apologies. Or they might try a middle run, but if it's a bad one, they'll just abandon it and go into the pit lane instead to give themselves more time to go out again. But Connor will have time to go in, change his tyres, and go for another run later on and have another go at Ollie Matthews then.
He certainly will. And speaking of Ollie Matthews, I'm going to be able in just a couple of moments' time to bring to you exclusive footage of what happened to Ollie in this race, which or in this qualifying, which is unfortunate for himself to happen, but it's also quite a funny crash. Anyway, we're going to be cutting over. This is Ollie Matthews' perspective, and he's, as you can see in a call with Owen Boldero, he's heading through the second sector, and just takes too much curbing, overcorrects into the wall, out of the qualifying session for the Aston Martin. Very, very unfortunate, but that will be it. And, well, for more top-notch analysis like that, well, you can check out the Creator Series broadcast I did on Saturday. Anyway, we've got more laps coming in. And, well, I think you've probably done more promotion for Creator Series than I have on these broadcasts.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. I do love the Creator Series. It's funny, I've never actually watched the broadcast, and I know you told me about you broadcasting on that day and made sure I was aware, but I was a very, very busy day and I wasn't able to watch it, I'm afraid. And then I was broadcasting myself that evening for WERL, which is obviously one of our partnering leagues. But yeah, no, I did love the Creator Series. And yeah, I think, I don't think it's the one I saw. I think the one I saw on Ben's YouTube actually would have been the week before, I assume, in the Netherlands. So, but yeah, seen that one, but I've been looking forward to watching that one back and seeing how you got on. I mean, we obviously all know how good you are at commentary. That's why we've got you here. So I'm sure you absolutely smashed that one. I've just seen Bert Welly is out of the session, so no idea if that was a crash or he just decided to retire on his own, but he's no longer here as well.
Yeah, Bert Welly out of the race, or out of the qualifying session. That's unfortunate. It looks like he's just retired in the pit lane, so that will be the V-Carb not taking any better time than 142.435. Lucas Aracini not improving. Regan Harding not improving. Matthew Gatches, is he going to be improving? We will see in about 15 seconds time as he will come to the second sector split time, and then for the Haas driver we will see what he is capable of in the first 2 sectors, whether it is actually going to be a push lap or an in lap. I haven't got my telemetry set up yet, so forgive me. It will be a push lap for Matthew Gatches. It will be a 7/10th improvement in the first 2 sectors, and so Gatches is starting to maybe look a bit threatening to Ollie Matthews, who's 8/10ths ahead of him at this point in time, and Ethan Shackleton will be 5.5 exactly ahead of Ollie Matthews. So there's a big gap between Shackleton and Matthews, and somebody will want to slot their way into it. And, well, excuse the pun, Matthews going to try and beat Matthews as he comes to the line. It'll be a 44.009, just outside the 142s, and well, that will be it for that. Alexander Vickel did improve. He'll go again because he invalidated on his lap. Owen Boldero is not improving. Lucas Aracini isn't either, so we're in a bit of a lull until the final runs begin.
Yeah, Owen Boldero, not sure what happened. He was going for a run down the Kemmel Straight. He looked like he completely missed the corner at the end of the straight and just straight lined it. I guess he probably had a bad run through not Magis and Vegas. It's not going well for me today. Through Eau Rouge and Radion, and then probably decided actually let's just get back to the pits as quickly as possible and have another go. So just straight line the corners instead. But as you say, a bit of a lull. No one out there who's currently looking to set a representative time. Everyone's, I think the last two Hasses that are out there, I will assume, are going to bring themselves back into the pits. Yeah, that is correct. So it's going to be a bit quiet for a minute. And this is where us as commentators have to fill the gap, fill the time. But I'm sure that's something we can do. As you were saying, obviously somebody will want to sit in between Ollie Matthews and Ethan Shackleton. That's virtually speaking, of course, not literally, although I'm sure they're both lovely people. But it's obviously, I can only be the Hasses, or one of the Hasses, or one of the Kickstabbers. I don't know why I said one. It could be either or both. So we'll have to wait and see if any of them have got the pace. Of course, both teams have struggled. They are both sitting quite far down in the championship order. In fact, they are... not last actually. Haas is actually doing quite well. Haas are ahead of Mercedes, but Kicksauber are sitting right at the very bottom. So they'll want to do as well as they can and hopefully get some good points on the Mercedes that they are battling.
Indeed, to talk about killing time, and you just provided the perfect segue for me. Championship standings, ladies and gentlemen, and these are the drivers. Andrea Chenkovan, 97 points. This is after the sprint, by the way, so this is live. Andrea Chenkovan, 97. Ollie Matthews, 64 in second place. Owen Boldero gaining 1 point on Alexis Mason. That might change today. Lucas Arrosini just 2 off of Mason as well, so it's very close between them. Burt Welly, 6th place with 32. Ethan Shackleton with 25. Gatchers gaining 2 positions up to 21 points in 8th place, just ahead of Harrison Robinson and Leandro Ratto. Daniel Riley in 11th place, just outside the top 10. He's not racing today. He won't be able to improve, but Connor Stewart Woodard will. Aria Stone won't. Brian Moore will. Regan Harding will. And Alexander Vickel also will. The drivers' standings are complete, and this is over to the constructors, as we will have, of course, with our championship leader being Andrea Chenkovan. I've almost done your thing. Andrea Chenkovan, we will be having Ferrari at the top of the drivers' standings and the constructors' standings. They've got 147 points, 46 ahead of Aston Martin in second place. Racing Bulls in third. They will be 10 points off of Aston Martin and 56 behind the leaders. McLaren with no driver anymore. They've got fourth. Williams have 23 points. They sit in fifth. Alongside them is Haas, and they're both going to be looking to get past the Papaya outfit and into that fourth spot. Mercedes AMG in 7th place with Aria Stone and Daniel Riley. They won't be racing. They won't be improving. Kick-Sauber just the 2 points behind them. They're going to want to get further up, and as the final runs get underway, I think that's exactly what they're going to do.
Absolutely. Of course, Alexis's points today will count towards the Mercedes total, so she'll be hoping for herself to do well and potentially get a win. But Dan Riley and Aria Stone will be watching from home. Well, not watching from home. I'm sure they're doing something. I'm sure they're watching wherever they are, hoping that Alexis will get as many points as possible. That would be Owen Boldero then deciding he does not want to take that corner again and completely straight lining it. So that is actually something you can get penalty points for in this league, but only if it's reported by a driver that's been affected. So we'll see if Alexis does that. But Alexis and Owen are friends, and I'm sure that was just a bit of a local banter, shall we say. While we were going through the championship order, Andrea Chenkovan decided that he's not going to go any faster and decided to retire from the session and just wait in the pit box until the main race. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers, 9 drivers then out there, all wanting to have a go. The Kicksabbers are already on their laps, and the rest of the drivers are all going to start their laps now as Alexis and Owen are swapping positions here. They need to be careful because it's all fun and games until one of them accidentally loses their car and puts it in the side of the other one.
Yeah, it certainly is, and they don't want to do that. It is a bit of banter, but we will see where the drivers end up stacking up towards the end of the race. We'll see how these two end up stacking up, and it looks like Owen Boldero is keen to get going. He's got past the Haas, and he's now also past Alexis Mason and starting on his lap. I believe it was Regan Harding, the first one to move on to it, as Alexis Mason around the final corner will be starting her lap, of course, on the front row at the moment. Needs to find 5/10 if she wants to challenge Andrea Chenkovan, who will not be improving. Owen Boldero the same, as Ethan Shackleton and Alexander Vickel have missed the line. They won't be improving on their lap times. That's very unfortunate, but that means that we have our last place confirmed. That will be Vickle, and we know that Ethan Shackleton will be starting at a peak of 7th place. Owen Boldero not improving in the first sector. He's got 0.016 down on his previous time. And, well, he will hope to improve upon that one. But we will have our first laps coming to line very shortly. The first one will be Brian Moore. At the moment, he is last of all the drivers left in the session with a 44.744. Of course, 1.3 ahead of Alexander Vickle. But it will be to the line for Brian Moore. And it will be a significant improvement. It will be into the 43s. It will be a 43.786 that puts himself in 9th place. The corner, big slide out of the penultimate corner, so that's going to lose him a bit of time. Can he find enough to improve past Matthew Gatchis, though, who retires? It'll be not an improvement for the Kick Sauber. Matthew Gatchis, who looks like he's crashed in Sector 2 in a very similar way that Ollie Matthews has Regan Harding up to 5th place. Lucas Erosini around the final corner. He's got 5/10 up on Harding. Is he going to find his way into the front row of this field? Yes, he is. Lucas Erosini gets into the 41s and gets ahead of Alexis Mason. But Mason has found 3/10, and this could be close for pole position if she keeps this momentum up into the final sector, which is where she's heading through now, and only a couple more corners to go before she is at the end of her lap in her qualifying session. And, well, without much practice this evening, Alexis Mason comes to the line and will snatch pole position from the hands of Andrea Chenkovan. So a new challenger at the very top of the field will be Alexis Mason, who will be starting this race from the very top of this field. An impressive qualifying performance, and that will see her right at the very top. Andrea Chenkovan will line up alongside on the front row, just 500ths back, and Lucas Aracini 5/10ths back on our pole woman. Owen Boldero in 4th place, just ahead of Burt Welly. Regan Harding will be just outside of a second off of our pole woman, and then it'll be Ethan Shackleton in 7th place, Ollie Matthews in 8th, Brian Moore in 9th, and Matthew Gatchis to round out the top 10, with Connor Stewart-Woodard and Alexander Vickle to round out the field. But considering she's not in any practice, that's a scary time from Mason.
Oh, it is, yeah. And, and we always say that we'd love to see Alexis in the league full time. Fortunately, she can't commit. She has other commitments. But we'd love to see her full time because, and I'm sure Andrea would absolutely love a challenger in this league because he gets to race people. We've seen how he raced the racing balls in the sprint. But ultimately, he always has that little bit extra that helps him win. Of course, we've seen Alexis win before. Should be trying to do that again this time out. But yeah, it's just fantastic pace. I mean, I think the people that'll be hitting themselves after that one, probably Connor Stewart-Woodard being less than a 10th, I think it was, from Ollie Matthews. He would be wishing he could have taken that position. And of course, Ethan Shackleton and Alexandra Vickle, both forgetting how long this lap is, it would seem, because neither of them made the line. They literally hit the line about a second after the flag dropped for Ethan, and then another second back to Alexandra Vickle. So that's unfortunate for the both of them, and that's something they'll need to work on going forward, because they can't afford to let that happen with such a tight field. And both of them could have obviously had a fight with Ollie Matthews. I think Ethan Shackleton did get ahead of Ollie Matthews, but Alexandra Vickle didn't get a chance to have a go at him himself. So yeah, hopefully they'll be able to come back stronger in the race. Ethan Shackleton needs some more good races after a great showing last time out to help his championship campaign. But yeah, now we get 2 minutes while the drivers do their strategies. They will decide what tyres they're going to put on when and how much fuel they're going to run. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what tyres they'll go on to, because that will be telling. As it currently stands, it's actually going to be Ethan Shackleton on the softs with everybody else on the mediums, but they can change that right up to the point of the start of the formation lap. So sometimes drivers will do that just to bait the other drivers out, as Connor actually goes onto the hards, just to bait the other drivers out, make them do something different, and then end up actually not being on the right strategy. So we'll see who's playing games and who is actually going to keep the strategy that they've currently put on.
Yeah, we will of course see what will happen as we head into the race session, as I'm trying to get my telemetry working so I can actually see what's going on. But of course that never quite works out because I don't understand technology most of the time. Anyway, we will be getting our race underway very, very shortly, as you say, but we will have first our interviews with the drivers. Of course, they have the opportunity to speak to us pre-race about how they feel, and a couple of them have responded. The first one that was this morning. It was Lucas Aracini, who when asked about the previous race, said that he had a horrible strategy, great qualifying, annoyed about how the whole race went, and well, he said he's not too sure how he's feeling about Belgium, but last season's qualifying in Spa was wet, so he doesn't really have a good reference point. He's hoping that he can win the sprint, which of course he did, which is great. And, well, he'll be very happy with that one, as there we go, my timing board is in fact working. So that'd be good news. But yeah, he of course did win the sprint race. He was very happy with that. He's matching expectations though. In main race, he's hoping for a top 4, maybe a podium if he can defend the Astons well enough. And he was so convinced that it was Zandvoort today. Someone's following the real life F1 calendar. Someone practiced all the way up to yesterday around the Dutch circuit. Of course, that is not where we are racing here tonight. We are here around Belgium, which is close enough. But we do have Zandvoort in a couple of weeks' time, so make sure to stick around for that one. It's the 24th of March, and this will be the 10th. But that will be what will happen in a couple of weeks' time. Owen Boldero becomes the second Aston Martin to be disqualified from a session as we wait for the race day. And then, well, I mean, Owen in himself, he felt good about the last race. He really dislikes driving Silverstone and usually have about 0 pace. So considering that, I'm happy with the P4. What he said. He's feeling the best about this race than he has all season. Something has just clicked in practice. His pace feels really good in every kind of conditions. And then, as you know with Owen Boldero by now, he moans about being on controller. He dares not to say it, but he feels like it could be a podium. I'm moving on from the controller thing. He feels as though this could be a podium race. Top 5 is the aim as always, but he wants to push for a podium as well. And I'm sure we'll get our quotes from the one remaining driver later on in this race. But Alexis Mason leads the way. And, well, Carl, have you got any early calls for this one?
Sorry, I missed it as I was just doing something. Did you say somebody thought we were racing in the Netherlands and were practicing for the Netherlands? Who was that? Luca. I mean, so then to come out with a win then, so that's a good showing. But yeah, I wonder, somebody got very, very confused. But I mean, look, Owen Boldero feels confident. He's obviously not pleased that Alexis there. And I say not pleased, you know, they are friends. He's not annoyed, but he's a bit like, you know, he did say, oh, great, what he heard. I don't think, I mean, we'll get the win, but I think he's got, as Alexis takes out the bollard there, I think he has a good chance for a podium. So I think I'd love to see that. Again, I think it would be silly to rule Alexis out for a win. Every time Alexis has been on track, she has crossed the line first, although did lose her first win thanks to a penalty after an incident with Leandro Ratto, of course, isn't in the league anymore. But you'd be silly to rule her out, I'd say. But I think Owen Boldero, podium, that's what I'm going to call.
Yeah, we will, of course, see whether Owen Boldero is able to convert this 4th place in qualifying to a 3rd place or higher in the race as we get most of our drivers up to the line. We're only just waiting for Ollie Matthews, who I think did some burnouts. Possible race strategies, medium, hard or soft, medium, hard. We'll see what all of the drivers are on now, and it's going to be mediums or hards for everybody. So nobody's going to be doing the soft, medium or hard. I don't know what they're talking about. Ollie Matthews driving through a lot of drivers on his way to 8th place on the grid, but it will be Alexis Mason who will be leading us away and will be pointing to the outside line of turn number 1. The Ferrari of Andrea Chenkvan will just be sitting there alongside her. But we will go to the 5 red lights here in Belgium. The drivers are ready. And the action gets underway now. Owen Boldero gets off to a good start. So does Luca Seracini. He's going to pull to the inside of the first corner as Luca. Is he going to be able to pull ahead? There will be contact. And it's going to be not decided just yet. But one thing for sure, Andrea Chenkvan's through. And Burtwelly's into the wall. So is, that'll be Ethan Shackleton as well, who had a bit of contact with him. But Burtwelly already contact out of the first corner. Huge, huge moment in this race. And that's one of the quickest drivers out of contention. Owen Boldero up to 3rd and Matthew Gatchers looking to challenge as he heads into the turn number 5. Can he get through? Owen's going to get a right old squeeze. He's going to cut the corner to remain ahead, and he does so in the end. But a dramatic start to this race, and it's not gone well for Burtwelly or for Alexis Mason, who's dropped down and has a big chunk of front wing damage.
Unbelievable. I have no idea what happened there, and I have no idea how they all survived as well. Of course, Burtwelly has no front wing then, so he will have to come in and change that. But no idea what's happened there as, oh wow, so Alexis Mason there had a poor start and then has an even poorer mid part of the lap. So not going well for Alexis. Of course, there's so much more time. She's got a missing end plate, so it won't be ideal, but she'll get a chance to go again as she goes back past the Saubers. And the Saubers also had to come in together. And it was Brian Moore, apologies, who came off the worst on that one. So at the end of the Kemmel Straight, as they went through the corners, they came together, and actually it looks like the positions are going to swap again. So Brian's getting a position handed back to him, it would seem, from Connor Stewart Woodard. But that was probably the most chaotic start to a race we've had so far this season. Biggest losers being Bert and Alexis then. And biggest winners, that probably has to be Alexandra Vickel, who currently runs in 8th position then.
Yeah, I apologise. It was Alexis Mason who made contact with Bert Welly in a big lock-up, as that was an even bigger lock-up for Brian Moore, who goes off the circuit and drops behind Alexis Mason into the pit lane. But Bert Welly will follow through. Alexis Mason has decided to do one racing lap here today, and that has called quits to her race. That's unfortunate, and a bit of a silly decision. Anyway, not my place to comment. Lucas Aracini chasing in on Andrei Chenkovan, pulls to the inside, pulls ahead, and will take the race lead. And it looks like he's going to be the biggest challenger for Andrei Chenkovan today.
Yeah, as we know, I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. One of my biggest pet peeves when people do that. It's lap 2 of 22. With that sort of, we've seen what can happen on a normal lap. Safety cars are probably inevitable at some point. I mean, we don't see a lot of them here in APC, so actually, potentially, we might not see one. But it's one of those tracks where it's very much likely it could happen, and then you fight your way back. You're in 12th position. Plenty of opportunity. This whole idea of I either win or I quit is I don't like it, and I'm not afraid to say it. But yeah, all around the rest of the down the rest of the lap. I mean, Ethan Shackleton's up there in 5th position. Yeah, he as I say, he needs a good result. He is falling off the back of Matthew Catch as well. He seems to be running kind of quite close, so he'll be hoping to get further up. Although Regan is currently there looking to hassle Ethan into the next lap, so we'll see if he's able to do that. And Ollie Matthews then, with his disastrous qualifying after he crashed out, is in 7th place at the moment on the back of Regan, and will be hoping to continue to fight his way back up the field.
Yeah, he certainly will be trying to fight his way back up the field. And we've got Lucas Seracini leading the way ahead of Andrei Chenkovan, who sets the fastest lap as and Boldero snatches it right back off Seracini. So the top 3 very, very quick at the moment. And DRS has been broken for everybody of the drivers. Every one of the drivers in the top 5, apart from Andrea Chenkovan. Regan Harding will be the next driver with DRS, 7/10 off the back of Ethan Shackleton. And then it'll be Ollie Matthews, who is 8/10 off the back of Harding. And those are the only drivers with DRS here today. So it might get a bit spicy for that 5th place. And, at the moment, Ethan Shackleton holds it and hopes to continue to. But Ollie Matthews, of course, a very quick driver who's maybe slightly out of place as... Lucas Aracini might have been slightly out of place fighting for the race lead and holding on to it ahead of Andrei Chenkovan. Has dropped down past it, but he's going to hold the inside line into turn number 8 and is going to try and make his way through. Remains on the outside. Andrei Chenkovan gives him the space, but eventually it just proves to be that it's not the pace on the outside. So Chenkovan decides to defend the outside line into the next corner, which Lucas Aracini has the inside to, which again is not the right way to go. So Chenkovan defending this one perfectly at this point in time. Seracini slotting into second.
I tell you what, Lucas Seracini then, take a bow. I mean, we've seen that this season he's definitely got podium running pace, but we have not seen him with potential race-winning pace before, as there is a yellow flag and Matthew Gatchis has retired. This always seems to happen when you come to me. It always seems to have an incident. Matthew Gatchis retiring and in the middle sector, and that has brought a full safety car then. As we can see on the graphic, I was hoping it would get them.
There we go.
There it is.
There we go.
And and I don't know what's happened there then. So he looked like he was on his own. So just a poor run through a corner, potentially losing the back end. I am expecting the medium runners to potentially all stop here then. I would not expect any of the hard runners to stop. Let's wait and see. But remember what I was saying about Alexis Mason then and safety cars. This would have brought her well back in. This would have put her in 10th position with the chance of fighting back up the field. So why you would retire on lap 2, I cannot get my head around. But medium runners all coming in then. They're going to get off those and run the hards as long as they can. Whether they come to the end, I don't know. The only car then still out. Actually, no, there's more. So Lucas Seracini's decided to stay out. Regan and Ollie Matthews also decided to stay out. So is this a bad call for Seracini? So actually, let me quickly go back to what I was saying about Luca. We've seen him with a podium running pace. We've not seen him with race winning potential pace yet. And he's showing so far that he could potentially do it. He showed in the sprint that he can win. And now he's showing that he's sticking with Andrei Chenkovan. I was hoping he would stick with him to the end, I'm sure. I have a feeling this could be a bad call for staying out. He was obviously second on the road. He wanted to do something different to Andrea Chenkovan, but I fear this could be his undoing because Andrea Chenkovan is now just going to cycle back up the order while Luca struggles on those hard tyres. He's got Ollie Matthews and Regan Harding as a buffer then between them, but we know what Chenkovan's pace is like. So is this going to be a mistake? Owen Baldero did pit and is now directly behind Andrew Chenkovan. So realistically, Owen Baldero is a net P2. However, I'm expecting everybody to stop again. But yeah, they'll be well ahead, I think, of Regan, Ollie, and Luca by the time they do that. In fact, Regan and Ollie, I'm going to quickly check. They are on they're on the hard tyres, so we'd expect them to stay out. We would expect them to stay out. So is Bert. I would have expected Luca to have pulled in, and I am very surprised he didn't.
Yeah, it's very interesting indeed to see that he has decided to stay out. But of course, we will see the top three have all stayed out, so maybe he's planning on Regan Harding and Ollie Matthews being a buffer for him. As I'll just set up the stream so it's not going to this time when we go back to Green Flag Racing. We won't actually have the problem of it just deciding that we're going to go back to the title card, which was my bad. But yes, we will see what the drivers will do as we will get back to Green Flag Racing. Is Luca going to come in this lap? That will be an absolutely devastating strategy from himself if he does so, as well, Alexis Mason. Not very happy that the safety car's come out, but we're not very happy that she left. So there's not much I can say about that. Luca is going to carry on and will remain in the lead of this race. And well, we will see how long he's going to be able to hold on to that, how long he's going to be able to hold on to the tyres. I think it's rash for him to stay out, but of course, everybody has their different strategies. Everyone has their different ideas. Maybe he can make them last a little bit longer than I thought he can. Maybe it's going to be an interesting strategy that might well work. He'll be able to extend those tyres, I think, a little while longer than he would have been originally. So we will, of course, have to wait and see what he will be able to do. We'll have to wait and see how the rest of this race stacks up. But we are on lap number 5 of 22. We're running behind the safety car, and it will be Luca Saraceni who leads the way. And it's his teammate, Bert Welly, the last man on track and the last man who came in to the interview room. And, well, Bert said he was annoyed, to put it lightly, that he missed the last race. He fell asleep. He did a Paul Garung, and he fell asleep. No Paul Garung this week either. It's very unfortunate that we've missed a couple of weeks of the Malaysian driver. But Bert Welly has not had any time to practice, so nothing has particularly changed. But he's feeling decent about this race, even though he's sitting down in 10th. He's expecting really good points, and he would like it to rain. Well, I've got bad news for you. It's not going to rain throughout the entire session. It's going to be nice and lovely and sunny in the Ardennes Forest, which is what we like to see. Lap 5 of 22, so we are over halfway through what would be sprint race distance, but we are doing a full race distance, and we've done 3 laps, or we will do 3 laps likely under the safety car.
Billy, I mean, at least he got married with his own surname, I guess. I mean, that's a good nickname. If you're friends with him in real life, I feel like that'd be a good nickname for him. But yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying about Luca. I just don't see this one working, and I think he made a decision in the moment that he had to stick to because there's no way he's going to fix it now. And I think he's probably regretting this, if I'm honest. I can't. I could be surprised, but I can't see this working. I think he's ruined his chance of a potential win here, possibly the podium. But again, we'll have to see as the safety car will pull in at the end of this lap. Then, as everybody is bunched up, so it won't be long until we find out if this strategy is going to pay off. But I just can't see it. I can't see it happen. I mean, I don't know if the hards are going to last to the end. I think Andrea Chenkovan's one of the few drivers who potentially could make it happen, but I think it's going to be a hard one.
Yeah, it will certainly be a hard one, and I'm going to test something new today with the graphics. Of course, it didn't quite go well because I didn't prepare for the safety car start. But when the safety car is coming into the pit lane, I'll just have a look and we'll test something as Luca Saraceni around the final corner. We're going to go to Green Flag Racing, and it will be Luca to lead us away. It's a sluggish restart from Regan Harding, and Ollie Matthews and Andrea Chenkovan are going to challenge into the first corner. It'll be 3 wide between those 3. Chenkovan backs out. Ollie Matthews goes for it on the inside, just about keeps it out of the wall, or did he? Because he's ghosting now, and he's struggled to get the power down on the exit. So it's a gamble that was not worth it for Ollie Matthews. He drops to 5th. His teammates ahead of him. So's Chenkovan. So's Harding. And they're up to 2nd and 3rd. And, well, Luca Serafini, in the meantime, will be happy that that's happened because he's built up a bit of a gap. But Andrea Cenkvan looks like he may well be bearing down on the Italian. He's on the outside line of Harding. He's going to get through into turn number 5, and he is going to chase down our current race leader.
Absolutely, as Ethan Shackleton then is going to go past Ollie Matthews, and Ollie Matthews actually gets a 3-second penalty then. So he crashes in qualifying and gets a 3-second penalty in the race for running over track limits. So that's not great. Bert Welly finally starting to make his way up the order then, as he is past Alexandre Vickel. Everybody now is guaranteed points should they finish, but a lot can happen. But as we can see, Luca Serafini currently has actually gapped Andrea Cenkvan. That's put him out the DRS range, but it's only just, and if anyone can pull themselves back in, it's going to be reigning champion Andrea Cenkvan. Almost did it again. Regan trying his hardest to stick with it, but he's also now just fallen out. This is going to allow Owen Boldero, Ethan Shackleton, and Ollie Matthews to all go past. Connor Woodard is miles off his teammate there. No idea what's happened there. Bert Welly doing well to get himself back up, as Owen Boldero will go around the outside of his real-life friend Regan Harding as well as we approach the bus stop chicane.
Certainly will, and Ethan Shackleton will go for it as well, and he's managed to make his way through. That's opened the door maybe for Ollie Matthews, as that's a poor exit for Regan Harding. Ollie Matthews looking to the inside line of the first corner, but hasn't quite got the run out of the exit of the final one, so won't be making his way through. Has a shape anyway, just to try and scare Regan into a mistake, but it hasn't quite worked. Of course, I know it says caution in the top left of your screens. It is green flag racing, and you can tell that by the fact that Connor Woodard is now fighting with Bert, on the inside line of the first corner, but Bert Welly will fight back around the outside. Is this the first move that we will see up Eau Rouge today? Yes, it is, and it will be successful as well. Bert Welly to P8.
Fantastic one then. We love an Eau Rouge overtake, don't we? Everybody loves to see that. That was fantastic. It's always very dicey, but he pulled it off with perfection, and even Connor Woodard can't be angry about that one because that was a fantastic overtake. Yeah, a lot going on all across the field then. Ollie Matthews, he's got Brian Moore for company then. And with that penalty, if Brian Moore stays there, he's going to lose that position. Bert is currently out of that penalty window, but he's not far off, and he will be hoping to come back. Lucas Serafini was able to gap, as Connor Woodard actually goes very wide there through that corner. So he's gone through the gravel. He needs to be doing that a little bit less, given the gap he's already got to the cars ahead. But, yes, as we were saying, Luca did gap him, but Andrea Cenkvan has found his feet. He's now found his pace on these hard tyres and is closing him down. And as I say, I think Luca is in for a hard rest of this race.
Yeah, it could be a very hard end of this race for Luca. And, well, it'll be very, very difficult for a few of these drivers, I think, to try and make it to the end. I think those who went in for the medium compounder tyre are going to struggle towards the end of it. And I don't know how long Lucas Serafini is going to be able to stay out here on the medium set of tyres. Of course, I'm used to having the esports times and the esports tyre wear, but we don't have that here because, of course, this is the almost Pro Championship, not the Pro Championship, so it's not quite on the same level. And also, he's had the safety car, so that's slightly thrown it off ever further. But Cenkvan is going to be chasing down Serafini now, and with the DRS, he's going to try and make his way through. He's almost to the point where he graduates to being pro status, but either way, he is trying to fight for the race lead at the moment, as Owen Boldero might be out of DRS next lap around on Ethan Shackleton, and on Andrea Cenkvan, with Ethan Shackleton in behind, and Ollie Matthews defends ahead of Regan Harding onto the position. And well, they're closer than they were 2 laps after the over the first start on the restart, so it's good signs, as Brian Moore going to get a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings for the Kick Sauber, and he is going to be the second one in that gang, joining Ollie Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, they're both very lovely people, and I'm sure that gang is a lovely place to be. But in APC and league racing circles, that's not a gang you're going to want to be in, unfortunately. So, not ideal for the both of them. Brian is running very well at the moment, it has to be said. He is in 7th, and he is running in the DRS range of Regan, who in turn is running in the DRS range of Ollie Matthews. So they're both actually within Ollie Matthews' pit window. I say that as Regan then falls out. So Regan's probably going to blame me for cursing him there, because every time something goes wrong for Regan's race, I get blamed. I was commentating on a race he was doing on Saturday. He was on for his first podium of the season, and I believe he crashed. I can't remember actually what happened, but he ended up leaving that session and not finishing the race, as Andrew Chenkovan is going past Luca Seracini then before we even get on to the pit straight. So that was missed, unfortunately. But he did it into the bus stop chicane then. But this does give Luca Seracini a chance of coming back at him down the Kemmel Straight. And it gives Owen Baldero, who's also on the same tyres that Andrew Chenkovan is on, also gives him a chance to have a go. And don't forget Ethan Shackleton then, who, as we said, had a great race last time out after a very poor start to the season. He's also in the fight here for the podium positions here in Belgium.
Certainly is. Lucas Seracini back up into the race lead. Owen Baldero and Ethan Shackleton remain in formation. And then looking further back, Regan Harding, Brian Moore and Burt Welly stay in formation. But I'm not sure how much longer Brian Moore is going to put up with being behind these two drivers. Burt Welly even being behind Brian Moore and Regan Harding as well, because he is by far the quicker driver. Last lap out. Those drivers, or the best lap in fact for those drivers, was of 1:49 for Brian Moore, Regan Harding, and 49.4, and for Burt Welly, well, it's a 1:47.2, so he is 1.8 seconds quicker at his peak than Brian Moore, demonstrating that he will be frustrated. But I think there was a bit of a mistake that dropped him a little bit more back, and so Burt Welly is going to need to really push on here if he wants any opportunity of fighting for anything halfway decent in this race, halfway near what his pace will deserve. But in the second sector, well, in the first sector, he was 2/10 quicker than Brian Moore and another 10th quicker than the Williams. In the second sector, he was actually slower than both of them, because it's hard to get any gains when, one, you're making mistakes, and two, you're following in behind the car in front, which is slower than you. Where can Burt Welly find an opportunity? Will it be into the final corner? He's going to give it a go with on the brakes into the bus stop chicane. Later on the brakes, Burt Welly takes 7th place. Brian Moore tries to get the switchback done, but he's just got too much track to traverse, and so he has to stay behind. But Burt Welly won't get DRS on Regan Harding as they head up Eau Rouge.
Absolutely. So just a quick word on Lucas Seracini. He's doing very well so far to be up there. Obviously currently in the lead. DRS swapping lap on lap with Andrew Chenkovan. Doing very well, but the problem is his tyres are going to fall off before everybody else's are. And there's a small chance that everybody else could take these to the end, which would be devastating for Luca, because he'll have to stop again and they won't, and he won't be able to catch him back up. So two things could happen here for Luca. He can stop, get on fresh tyres, actually, as Owen Baldero's now decided to have a go. As Luca's had a poor run through those sequence of corners then, and drops to 3rd position. So he could get on some new tyres, get some new hard tyres, run to the end, and hope everybody else has to stop, and hope that he's got far enough ahead by the time that they have stopped and pulled off a major undercut. Or he can hope for a safety car, because if a safety car comes out in the next couple of laps, he can pit for fresh hards. Everybody else will have to pit likely for mediums, which they will struggle to the end from this point. So he'll be hoping for a safety car. We're not really, because I think that would mean somebody else is DNF'd. So we'd rather not see that, but he's going to struggle now. So it's definitely a one stop for Luca. He can take the hards now and definitely make it to the end. It's just a question of whether everybody else who did stop on the safety car can also take their tyres to the end.
Yeah, we'll see whether they're going to be able to do that. I find it unlikely, because a lot of them are on medium compounded tyres. But of course, the likes of Chenkovan, the likes of Owen Baldero, the likes of the leading Haas, which is of course the only Haas left in the race, Alexander Vickel, they all came in for hard compound tyres under the safety car. It'd be tricky to stretch them the whole way, but they're going to give it a go. We will see what Lucas Seracini is going to switch on to as he finally dives into the pit lane. It will be hard compound tyres, and it will be taken to the end of the race. I think, honestly, this is a good idea from Lucas Seracini, because he's not switched the tyres, so he's not going to have to do another pit stop like all the other drivers will. And it's just allowed him to keep track position. He's in 9th at the moment, which isn't great. But of course, when everybody else comes into the pit lane, which he's not going to have to do, they're going to lose like 20, 30 seconds. I don't remember it off the top of my head. But if it's 20 to 30 seconds, that puts him in the race lead. That puts him in with a very good opportunity. So as much as we talked about it being not the greatest strategy, on reflection, I don't hate it at all.
If they will have to stop, then yeah, he's probably got a good chance here, depending on where they stop, whether they can take him back. The problem is, we've seen Andrew Chenkovan before pull off one stops, and we don't think that it's even possible. Although I have commentated on a race that he did once in a different league where he tried it at Imola and actually punctured on the final lap from the lead. So he can try it, Whether it's going to work for him is to be seen, but we have seen him do it. He's one of the few drivers that can do it. Owen Boldero so almost got into the DRS range there, and he's going to be very upset that he's not been able to, because he does feel good for the win here. But I will say that my prediction of a podium for him looks good, but I'm not going to say it's nailed on, because that's how a commentator's curse works. But yeah, everybody else then, everybody's out of DRS range of each other. Big gaps, apart from Lucas Saraceni then, who now needs to make his way up the order as cleanly as possible. Any hold-ups as he passed cars will be detrimental to his race. So he's on the back of Colin Stewart-Woodard now, and he's hoping to get a nice, easy, clean DRS pass. He's then got 6 seconds up to Brian, so nice bit of clean air. As that's not a clean pass at all. So actually, he tried to go past the bus stop chicane. It looks like Connor defended it. And they both ran off the track. So that's another thing that he needs to prevent himself getting here is a track limit penalty. So not the best recovery drive from Luca there. No idea who was to blame. I'm sure we'll find out later on. But yeah, that wasn't ideal for him. But now he's got 10 seconds to Regan as Brian Moore pulls into the pits and gets out of that particular battle. And he'll be hoping to use the clean air effectively to close the gap to the leaders.
Certainly will be. Lucas Saraceni up to 7th place. Not Owen Boldero. Brian Moore at second. We can mix those two up. Brian Moore into the pit lane and back out of it in last place. He will be on a set of the hard compound tyres, and is that a sign of things to come? Because he came in under the safety car and switched onto a set of the medium compounded tyres. Now we know those mediums can stretch probably to 10 laps. Lucas Saraceni goes very wide. Big mistake from the man hoping to pick up the race lead, and well, that's allowed Connor Stewart-Woodard back into the fight with him for the time being, and that might have just been the mistake that has cost him the fight for the race victory, whether we know it or not just yet. Because of course he will cook his tyres, he will drop a lot of time, and he will have the pressure from Connor, so he needs to really lock in now and really try to push forward. But unfortunately for him, that was a big mistake on his part. But as I was saying, it's going to be a struggle for those medium compounded tyres especially, and Ethan Shackleton was the other driver to pit for those mediums under the safety car, as was Connor, so I think those two are going to have to be in very soon. In fact, Connor came in after the first lap, so he is on an even older set of medium tyres, and they must be reaching puncture region, and indeed he does dive into the pit lane. Regan Harding also in as well, and he makes the switch for the first time in this race from a set of the mediums from a set of the hards towards a set of the mediums later on in this race, so that he will be taking them to the end, so we can pretty much deduce from that the hards will last 12 laps, the mediums will last 10 maximum, and so those hards are going to be struggling towards the end, because at the moment the likes of Chenkovan, the likes of Owen Boldero, they've got 9-lap-old hard compound tyres. They're going to be up to 18 by the end of the race, so it's going to have to be all down to tyre management. And Owen Boldero, especially earlier on, mentioned how much he was going to struggle.
Yeah, as you see, he has dropped off then. So this could be a pace thing, of course, but it could also potentially be Owen Boldero looking after his tyres. Because if he backs off, he could, potentially have better tyre life towards the end of the race. And the last lap, Jenky might have to considerably back off, and Owen might be able to breeze past. So we'll have to wait and see if that's what is happening. It's probably down to pace, if we're honest. Andrew Chenkovan is one of the fastest drivers we've ever seen here. So yeah, I mean, it's a shame that Alexis did retire on lap 2, because should have very well been fighting her way back through like Bert's been doing. Back to Lucas Saraceni, not an ideal a few laps here then. So he obviously needed to make these laps count. He needs to gap Andrew Chenkovan and Owen Boldero as much as he can when they pit. They can't catch him before the end of the race, but he was able to do that as Ethan Shackleton, I think. Ethan Shackleton has gone into the pits then, so he's getting off those medium tyres, I assume, onto a hard set of hards. So not great for Luca. He needs to be a bit more careful of that, but he's now... That's the wrong person. That's Regan going past Alexandra Vickle then. A nice clean one there. Not the most usual place that you see it, but a clean one. Nonetheless, no one can complain, as Lucas Saraceni actually gets a free overtake there with Ethan Shackleton going into the pit lane.
He certainly does, and he'll make his way up to 5th place, and that's the sort of progress that he was hoping to make, was Lucas Saraceni. He was hoping that it was the other Ferrari of the race leader that he would be overtaking in the pit lane, and of course that's not happened yet, because we haven't seen him into the pit lane yet, or if he does at all. it's going to be very interesting to see whether he does actually decide to dive into the pit lane. But either way, it has been very promising pace once again from Luca Serafini, very promising pace as always from Andrei Chenkovan, and no one's really been able to challenge them as the fastest laps. For reference, the fastest lap, of the race is Luca Serafini with a 1:46.0. Then the second fastest lap of the race in terms of the fastest laps, if that makes any sense. So the individual drivers' fastest laps, it will be Andrei Chenkovan in that second place with a 46.862, so 8/10 off the back of Luca Serafini, but still 4/10 ahead of the third fastest time, which is Owen Boldero. Then you'll have to look 6/10 back to find Bert Welly. So there's a lot of differences. The field is very spread out between all of the drivers, and we will see what will happen come the end of the race. In fact, that was the last lap. That wasn't the best laps, but the best laps still paint a similar picture with a 1:45.6 for Andrei Chenkovan for a 1:46.0, so a personal best from Luca Serafini last time, and then a 1:46.3 for Owen Boldero. Then you have to go 8/10 back to find, no you don't, you have to go to Ethan Shackleton, and then you have to go 8/10 back to find Ollie Matthews and the like, Bert Welly as well in that range. So it's very interesting to see the differences between the two. When I actually say it correctly, Regan Harding, 3-second time penalty added to his name for going too early into the bus stop chicane and picking up his third warning, and well, he will continue on in that 7th spot as Bert Welly tries to chase down Ollie Matthews with 1 lap younger hard compound tyres.
Yeah, Regan can't blame us for that one. That was neither of us even spoke about his penalties or penalties at all. So that's all on you, Regan, if you're watching this back, which I know you do. Ethan Shackleton then, fresh medium tyres, and he's hunting down Luca Serafini. I think Luca Serafini is going to struggle to hold on to this position if Ethan carries on at this rate. Of course, if he can hold him back for long enough to like the last sort of 3 laps, then his tyres are going to be a lot better, that being Luca's. But Ethan is there and he is coming fast. So, yeah, it's going to be a struggle for Luca to hold him back. And that's not what he needs. You know, he needs to focus ahead. But Ethan's not going to allow him to do that. And he's going to help his teammate then by distracting Luca Serafini up until the pit stop phase of all the drivers ahead. Yet to be seen, though, if the likes of Andrei Chenkovan and Owen Boldero can take those tyres to the end. It's a big ask. Ollie Matthews, of course, has the oldest tyres of everyone. He's actually, he's not boxed from, has he boxed? I think he boxed on lap 1, didn't he? So yeah, he's had those on since lap 1 and is still able to hold them out at the moment. So we will see, but I think we'll definitely see a box from Ollie Matthews, and there it is. And actually, I think he's hit the pit wall, because I heard somebody clatter the pit wall there. And no idea if that's taken his wing off whilst he's done that. But yeah, the other 2 drivers now, well, Bert Welly will need to stop again, but the other 2 drivers of Andrei Chenkovan and Owen Boldero, as Ethan Shackleton puts in the fastest lap of the race so far on his hunt down of Luca Serafini. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they have to stop. But that'll be the final stop then for Ollie Matthews, fresh mediums, and he'll try and hunt down the cars ahead. He gets out just ahead of Regan then, and he'll want to get in that battle with Ethan Shackleton and Luca Serafini.
He will, and we just missed it, but Luca Serafini did make the move, and he made his way up into 4th place. Might be the move back for Ethan Shackleton, though, around the outside into turn number 5, and he's going to give it a go as the 24, and he will make it back through, but it might be later on, too late on the brakes. No, he won't. He moves up to 4th place, and Connor Stewart would have picked up another 3-second time penalty in what has not been a good day for the Kick Sauber, because of our 2 early retirements of Matthew Gatches and Alexis Mason. He's going to be able to pick up at the very least, a point here today. Ollie Matthews, we'll have a look, but I don't think he definitely doesn't have any damage from that contact with the pit wall, so that is very, very lucky indeed for the Aston Martin, who continues on. Regan Harding is within the DRS, but I'm not sure how much longer that's going to last, with brand new tyres strapped on to Ollie Matthews' car, and there's a 4-lap offset between the 2 tyres. 16 of 22 is what we have at the moment, and Andrei Chenkovan will lead the way 3.6 ahead of Owen Boldero, and doesn't look like he's going to be chased down anytime soon as he keeps banging in fast lap after fast lap after fast lap. Shackleton and Serafini are quick, but they're not going to be as quick as Andrei Chenkovan, as the other Ferrari here today, unfortunately for them. But we will see those 2 fighting throughout the course of the rest of this race, and most likely being able to catch up to Bert Welly and Owen Boldero. So it should be an interesting fight, especially as Bert Welly's into the pit lane. He'll have even younger medium tyres.
Luca Serafini then holding on to the back of Ethan Shackleton, and he'll hope to do this as long as he can, because it has to be a point in this race where those hard tyres are going to be better than those medium tyres. Of course, the mediums went on not that long ago, so they might be really good till the end, but if he can hold on, he will have a chance of coming back at him, but it's very much teetering on the edge of that DRS range, and if he loses it, that is curtains for Lucas Aracini, because Ethan Shackleton will run away. And currently, Ethan Shackleton is within the pit stop window of Owen Boldero. Probably be very tight with his teammate, but definitely Owen Boldero. Owen Boldero really can't stop at this stage. If he does, he's giving up that chance of a podium, because that'll put Luca ahead of him as well. So it's very tight at the top there, and until lap 22, we don't know how this is going to end, and that's what obviously makes racing very exciting. But Welly very much on the back of Regan then, so he will hope to get past him at some point and then get well within Ollie Matthews's penalty window. Actually, to be fair, he's within Regan's penalty window, so he can probably stay where he is, but Regan is falling off the back of Ollie Matthews. So he'll be able to get past and get in within the penalty window of Ollie Matthews and take 5th position. So there's a lot that can change here in the next 6 laps. But I can't tell you what order it's all going to happen in.
Yeah, 6 or 7 laps, something like that. No, it's actually going to be
It's
5 in a couple of moments' time as, Andrei Chenkov, of course, crossing over to start lap number 18. But, I mean, you did fall into it because you said the number 6, and that triggers anybody very interested in that.
I'm of a very different generation.
Well, it's not me, it's the kids. But yeah, it's something that I unfortunately understand quite a lot. Anyway, Lucas Aracini tries to remain in the DRS, can just about cling on to the DRS of Ethan Shackleton, but Welly trying to do the same thing, and he's going to try to stay within range, and he's going to be a lot closer, and he'll be out at the exit of turn number 1, 5/10 back, so trying to make his way through in the DRS as he heads up the hill. But yeah, these are very, very interesting close fights for the drivers. And we will see what they're going to do. As the one person who I know is watching has just texted me 6 or 7 really. But Welly up the hill will be trying to fight with Regan Harding. Will be on the inside line. Will make his way through, and that should be a pretty easy move for Bert Welly, who now sets his sights on the 4-second gap between himself and Ollie Matthews.
Absolutely, yeah. So he's, as we said, 3 seconds for Ollie Matthews, 3-second penalty. So all about what he needs now is a second and to remain within that window. And he's doing that so far. He's looking a lot faster than Ollie Matthews at this stage. So Ollie Matthews, either coming off a streak of top 4 finishes, will finish this race likely in 6th position, which is unfortunate for him. You know, he really feels like he's got a place for a win at some point in this season. Not quite happened so far this season. Of course, we've got plenty more races to go. We've got 2 more before a season break and then another 7, including another sprint. So I'm sure his time will come. Lucas Aracini, how he's holding on to the back of Ethan Shackleton, I do not know. I think he's done a great job, and he's shown great pace. He's doing things that I can't explain all day long. So I think, a driver of the day potentially there. Of course, there's plenty more time to go. But as I said, he's tired at some point. May well come into their own and be faster than Ethan. So the fact that Ethan can't drop him at this stage could actually mean that Luca comes back for that 3rd step on the podium. I'm looking at the lap counter here. I think Ethan Shackleton, not even Shackleton, Andrei Chenkov and Owen Boldero, they're going to chance it, surely. Surely they're just going to chance it and hope they can take it to the end, because I guess it's all or nothing, really. I mean, they will still get good positions. If they both stop now, they will potentially be 3rd and 4th, if not 2nd and 3rd. Surely it's too late. You're just going to leave it now. You're going to hold it out to the end and just hope that they're going to hold on. Because obviously in this game you get puncture territory, which means you have a percentage where once you go past it, your tyres can pop, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they will.
Yeah, they certainly can. But as you say, it's upwards of 80% is the region which they can just disappear on you, and that would be very unfortunate. But I mean, it can happen in the late stages of the race, and it might be very close for especially Owen Boldero, who, as I said, moaned earlier on about the tyre wear that he may well face on controller. Lucas Aracini, with 8-lap-old hards, is not going to have the same problem, but what he will have problems with is staying within range of Ethan Shackleton, whose mediums are 5 laps old. So it depends on how they've managed their tyres at this point in the stint, because they are both late on in their stints. as well, the top two are even later on in the stint. And if they have problems, then it will be Luca Serafini and, it will be Ollie Matthews, sorry, and Burt Welly who can be able to capitalise with their a lot fresher tyres on their cars. And we will see as we will tick over to what will be number 20. So we've got 3 to go, and it will have to be 19 laps for Andrea Chenkovan, 19 laps for Owen Boldero. It'll have to be 9 laps for Ethan Shackleton, but of course he is on the medium compound of tyre. It'll have to be just so long in all of these stints, but then you've got the likes of Ollie Matthews who'll only be doing 7 laps on his mediums, so that 2-lap difference can make a big difference come the end of the race.
Bit of team radio in then. I wish we had a nice graphic for it, but we're not quite that techie here, I'm afraid. Owen Boldero has said his tyres will easily last to the end. He has 58% wear on the worst tyre. So absolutely no worries. And Andrea Chenkovan, who of course is much more careful on his tyres than most of the field here, would I imagine have even better tyres. So this then looks like, they're good. They're good to the end. And Ethan Shackleton is not going to have a chance at the top 2. And Luca Serafini, if he's going to get on the podium, then we'll need to do it on track and get past Ethan Shackleton as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we'll be looking to try and make his way through and onto the podium positions, which of course he deserves pace-wise across the course of this race. But we will see. He's the only driver within DRS at the moment. As we'll tick over to 21, and well, what a performance Andrea Cenkovan's put in. Again, we say this again, he is the best driver in APC, and he's only got 2 laps to confirm another victory.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done 3 championships back to back. There's a reason he's done that. No one's done that since Stuart Towers in the first 3 seasons. Of course, Ethan Shackleton, his teammate, took the championship in the 4th season, but he's not been able to replicate that pace, and no one's been able to get anywhere near Andrea Chenkovan. Of course, we've seen the likes of Leandro Ratto, and I can see his face. I can't remember his name. There was somebody last season or the season before who was also on his pace. We've seen people challenge him. But annoyingly, Stephen Snell, of course. I almost forgot Stephen Snell. But every time somebody challenges him, they just seem to not hang about in the league, which is a bit of a shame. We've got Alexis Mason, of course, who is I don't know whether fast is the right word. Probably very, very similarly paced. But of course, can't commit to a full season. And when she does turn up, retires because she has a small crash at the end of the race. As Connor Stewart-Woodard goes by Alexandra Vickel, and Alexandra Vickel goes back by Connor Stewart-Woodard into the source then. So, a lot of fun them two are having. He's the best driver currently in APC. I mean, we saw Stewart and Andrea run side by side for a couple of seasons, of course Stewart didn't have the pace that he showed in the first 3 seasons. Unfortunately, I would love to have seen the 2 title titans battle it out. So, of course, Stuart Towers is no longer with us in the league, but it's Stuart Towers was the go of his seasons, and Ali, I don't know what's happening. Chenkovan is the go obviously of the last 3 seasons, and potentially this season as well. I mean, he's taken out quite a big lead at the moment. Of course, a lot of people, I think everybody is technically still mathematically possible at this stage, but with the lead he currently has, it's very much a come and get me if you dare, because you've got a long way to go to see these heights that he's currently enjoying. So, final lap then for Andrea Chenkovan. Most of the track haven't even got onto this lap yet. So only 3 of them, 4 or 5 now on this lap. He will cement himself as we go to the end. I've actually just had a message from Stuart. He's actually watching the stream, so I'm glad to see you still supporting us, Stuart, because of course you were, big part of how this league began. Of course, Matthew Gatchis was here for those seasons. He fought Stuart. Didn't quite have the pace of Stuart, unfortunately, but he's obviously back to have another go at it. Although having currently DNF from this race, it's not a good start to that campaign.
No, it's not, and I'll throw a name at you. Harry Chapman, I think was his name, a couple of seasons ago.
Is there one I'm missing? Irish guy.
Yes.
I can't remember. It's really bugging me.
Aaron McGurk. There you go.
Aaron McGurk. That was it. He was rapid. Yeah. So, yes. Yeah, and oh yes, Chapman, of course. Yeah, he unfortunately also left towards. Well, he didn't return for the season following the season that he joined. And Aaron McGirt, yeah, also left. I think quite early on in the season. So it's a shame, but I'm sure Alex. I can't even do it. Chenky would love a challenger, but yeah, here he goes across the line.
Yeah, it certainly will. It'll come around the final corner, and Andrea Chenkovan will be victorious once again in the Almost Pro Championship. 7.77 seconds was the gap between himself and Owen Boldero as he crossed the line. Owen, though, slowly across the line, weaving his way to second. Lucas Aracini in third, and well, he will be happy with that one. But Ethan Shackleton might be able to snatch it off him at the line if he gets a good exit out of the final corner, which he doesn't. So it will be Lucas Aracini in third. Ethan Shackleton comes home fourth. But yeah, Andrea Chenkovan once again establishes himself at the very top of the field. Owen Boldero, though, showed that he has the pace that at some circuits he can give him a right old go here, can he? And it'll be very interesting to see throughout the course of the rest of this season whether Owen can hold a candle. Lucas Aracini, third place, of course, he's held a candle on a number of occasions. Ethan Shackleton on his day. Don't forget, he won a sprint race here a couple of seasons ago. Brian Moore around the final corner, he will come home in 8th as Regan Harding came home in 7th. And then it'll be Connor Stewart-Woodard and Alexander Vickel to finish off proceedings here today. Our 10 drivers finishing the race, and of those 10, Kyle, who's your driver of the day?
I think so. Boldero, he got that podium that I was hoping, well, I'll say that I predicted he would get. He's obviously not had the fastest pace of the season so far, so he's been hoping for that, and I think he did very well. I mean, Lucas Saraceni, I need to give him a shout. I know he probably did the wrong strategy there, could have potentially been P2, maybe even looked at the win. But yeah, he fought back very well, and I just switched to that very, very late, and I don't know if we've actually got enough footage for the replays on the post live stream. But I believe he took Ethan Shackleton into the bus stop chicane then. So of course he's been running behind Ethan Shackleton since Ethan Shackleton got past him after his pit stop. And I think he did a bit of a dive into the bus stops. Whether that was clean enough, I don't know. We'll find out if that goes to the stewards or not. But yeah, I think for me then, Owen Boldero, I think he should take a bow. I think that's a fantastic podium for him. He had a really good pace today, finishing just 8 seconds behind the leader, Andrea Chenkovan then.
Yes, just behind Andrew Chenkovan indeed. On the standings at least, even though it was 8.4 seconds, the difference between them on the road. It'll be Chenkovan leading Boldero, leading Saraceni, leading Shackleton. Burtwelly rounds out the top 5. Then it'll be Ollie Matthews in 6th, Regan Harding in 7th. Brian Moore in 8th, Connor Stewart-Woodard in 9th, Alexander Vickel rounding out the finishers, and then Matthew Gatches and Alexis Mason rounding out the classified drivers, all of which competed at some point today. And all of which, apart from Alexis Mason, finished at some point today. But without further ado, we're going to jump straight into our interview room, and we'll have a word with some of the drivers. And we'll start off with, let's have a look who is in there right now. Nobody's actually in there right now. They're waiting for us to be ready, and they're just having a debrief with their teammates. Of course, they like to talk to us. They like to talk to their teammates as well. And well, we'll drag them straight in. We've given him 1 second in the waiting room, but it was just that he timed it perfectly. Owen Boldero, talk me through your perspective of your race.
Well, it finally happened. I finally got the podium. The P4, P5 curse is finally broken. It took absolutely forever, but that race felt really good. So lap 1 was interesting, I'll say. I witnessed Alexis have a huge snap in front of me. I got forced onto the curb, which actually was kind of a blessing, because if I'd have not been on that curb, as far to the left as I could have been, I would have been collected in that incident. So kind of lucky that I got forced towards the curb by Luca and Alexis battling into turn 1. And then down towards the end of sector 1, Matthew Gatches went for a optimistic dive, let's say, on me, which he hit me off track. We've spoken about it and we're fine now, but I got hit off track because of it, and then I rejoined in front of him as I should, and I got an illegal overtake. So I had to give it back to him, and because of that, we lost DRS to Luca and Schenke, who were ahead of us. So that was unfortunate, but I got Matthew back relatively quickly and started sort of drops towards dropping him out of DRS, and then the safety car came out, and I was in two minds about what to do. I wasn't sure. Do I stay out? Do I pit? And then Ollie went, no, pit, pit. He said, you can make those tires last. And I was like, I'm not sure if I can. So I pitted, and then it was about lap 13, I think, when I fully committed to staying out. So I switched to management mode, which is why I lost time to Chenky. I think I was managing a little bit from about lap 9, but I was staying relatively close to Andrea Chenkovan. So if there was a mistake from him, I could have picked up the pieces. But I went fully into management mode lap 13 and started losing time. So was just being a little careful on the tires, being nice to them, and then Kyle joined the VC, which caught me off guard at lap 20, and asked me if they were going to last, and I was like, yeah, they'll definitely last. The management I did on them between lap sort of 12 and 19 was really important, because then in the final lap I was able to push it, which I actually gained a little bit of time on Andrea Chenkovan, which surprised me. So the pace was there when I was pushing, but if I'd have full pushed, I don't think I would have done the one stop on those hards from the safety cars. But really happy to get P2. Really happy with it.
Yeah, and I was just going to touch on those tyres, and well, do you think in the end it was the right call to make yourself have to manage the tyres, or do you think that it would have been a much more comfortable race and it would have been a better idea to make the switch and well, it's the switch of strategies even?
So I think managing was the correct decision, because I was running relatively higher wings than everyone, I think, because I wasn't really gaining much on the straights on anyone. I was running 6-0, which I thought was relatively low for a for Spa. But most people must have been running 0-0, especially Luca, because when I was behind him, I gained nothing on the straights. I had to basically capitalize on Andrea Chenkovan going through on him to even get past him. But I think if I probably would have still got P2, but it would have been much more difficult because I would have been in a fight with Luca and Ethan Shackleton. So I think staying out was the right decision, because although I was having to manage and be careful, I was under no pressure whilst I was doing that.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that makes sense ultimately. That's all that I've got. I know you're very comprehensive with your answers. Carl, have you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really much about the race. It's about that qualifying session. What's going on? You seem to not be able to make those corners, and almost went into your friend Alexis at one point.
So that was just some mind games. I was oh no, you're talking about when I straight lined it. So I was
Straight
straight
line, I
lining.
think twice. There was once you were on your own, and then once when Alexis was also there, and then towards
Yeah,
the end of the
so-
lap with Alexis, I think you two were swapping positions.
So the straight lining was because it's a saving tires tactic. Didn't quite work out on the second time I did it because I had to avoid Alexa. I went a little bit too fast in it and overcooked it. But I do it because it is a tire saving tactic. You know, if I just go straight on with a little bit of braking, you're not working the tires that hard. Just puts a little less stress on them before you go onto the lap.
There you go, guys. You've heard it here first. Owen Baldero giving you some tactics. So don't say we don't give you good information here at APC. But yeah, that's very much answered the question for me. Thanks for your time, Owen, and well done on your P2. And hopefully we'll see you on the podium again soon.
Hopefully, and thank you very much. See you later, guys.
It's a stretch to call any advice from Owen Baldero good, but here we are. That will be Owen Baldero, of course, which you've spoken to, and now we'll get the opportunity to speak to Brian Moore. And Brian, well, of course, it was a very interesting race indeed, I think, from a strategic perspective. Do you want to talk me through your perspective?
Yes. So, I mean, I kind of had the strategy all out in my head. Safety car definitely threw it up in the air. I was sort of contemplating whether it was worth going hards then mediums, or just mediums and then finishing hards. In the end, I obviously went mediums hards. It was an interesting one. I feel like possibly hards may have been the better choice, but I don't think I would have got the result I did if I went hards then mediums to the end.
Yeah, it's always a very interesting when you have to manage tyres and manage strategies as you go along. So yeah, it's a difficult one indeed. But of course, you and your teammate finished 8th and 9th. So you picked up decent points, and only one of the Haas drivers finished in the points. The other one didn't finish at all. So that must promise.
Definitely. So going into the weekend, in my mind, I kind of had set out that I was hoping for us to catch up and overtake Mercedes, but the close points like that to Haas is very promising, and hopefully we can continue to close throughout the season.
Yeah, it should be a good one to watch. Have you got anything, Carl?
Yeah, talk to us quickly about the incident with your teammate. It wasn't shown live, so if you're watching live, you won't know what I'm talking about. But if you are watching a little bit later on, you would have seen the replay. You two came together, and I got on board a little bit too late, so I couldn't quite see what exactly happened. But it just seemed like a bit of a miscommunication on track.
Was this the lap 1 going into sector 2?
It was, yeah.
Okay, so I can explain actually. As I'm sure we'll look at this later, but going into the right-hander at the end of the straight, there was quite a big gap on the inside of Alexander Vickers, so I sort of popped my car there to overtake him, and then he sliced straight across me, put me in a half spin, and then unfortunately, Connor being behind me lost half his front wing because of the contact. Immediately we both got a little bit annoyed about the situation, what happened, but I mean, I feel like sort of Connor certainly was a passenger in it. I feel like I was a passenger, and yes, I went into the corner maybe a little bit fast, but I was leaving the room, and I feel like I just had the room completely closed on me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't think we got the whole incident, or we may have had it on the replay. I'm not sure. I just saw you two come together. So, yeah, that clears that up. So, good to know that you guys are still working well together then, and that wasn't you two having a bit of a battle that ended badly. But, yeah, I mean, great showing overall. You obviously finished ahead of your teammate in the end, and not far off Regan, really. So, yeah, great showing. And, yeah, congrats on the points. And looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was Brian Moore, then the driver that finished in the lower echelons of the points, but still finished nonetheless. And you can say that better than more than a couple of drivers here today in this race. Unfortunately, that will be the first couple of drivers that we have into the box. And the next one that we will bring in is well, I don't think we've had the opportunity to speak to Bert Welly before, so. Well, welcome into the commentary box, Bert, for what I believe is the first time. Do you want to just talk us through that race? Because it seemed to be a really topsy-turvy one.
I mean, welcome. It's my second time here, actually. The first time I got a violation. Anyways, I got killed at the beginning of the race by Alexis, which was really unfortunate, but I did prepare myself for something like that, and I did go for the harder compound, which I thought I was gonna need, and I was hoping for another safety car, but I still managed to get P5 at the end, which I think it's a really good recovery from what happened at the beginning. So, I mean, pretty good points to be honest. So I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, it looked like a decent performance, even if it was marred with a bit of bad luck. It's the first time that we've seen yourself and Lucas Erosini in the chat, so just give us a bit more insight. Have you been communicating before? Is this the first time that you've worked together?
I mean, we used to like text each other before each race, like good luck or what tires you're gonna use or whatever. But this is the first real race where we communicate during the race. And I really enjoyed it, really helped us, and I think we will continue doing it in the future.
What sort of things were going on in that VC as the race was going on?
We were talking about how Senki was destroying our pace, but we were just managing our gaps, trying to keep Luca in the DRS so Senki has a difficult more time, and then Yeah, you saw in the sprint where I didn't defend him because he was just faster, and we're just doing team games. Hopefully the team game's better than just 1v1v1.
Absolutely, I'm sure it will be. And what I was going to ask about that sprint one, you've answered my last question. Carl, have you got anything?
Yes, Bert, obviously, welcome. Thank you for not swearing, and that you've been here. But yeah, obviously, you were tenth at the safety car restart, so that was last of all the runners that were left. And obviously, you ended up back in fifth position, back obviously where you started. Where did you get the pace from? How were you able to come back through the? I think a lot of people struggled to come back through after they did their pit stop. So you seem to be one of the few drivers that are actually able to carve your way back up the field. So what gave you that extra pace to be able to get back through the field?
I mean, I've done a few other league races here at Spa, and I've known that my race pace at Spa is pretty decent. So even though I did get killed, I still had a positive mindset because I knew I was able to at least get a few more places. And yeah, just my race pace, I believe is better than my quali pace. So yeah.
Well, I admire you continuing after the incident and not just giving up and retiring. But yeah, thank you for joining us as always. And well, not as always, because it's only the second time. But please make sure you come speak to us a bit more often. It's been lovely, and we'll catch you hopefully next week if you don't fall asleep.
Yeah. Yep, I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
That
you.
was Bert Welly joining us after a good comeback through the field and ending up in a lot better position than it looked like he was going to be picking up at one point. We go from him, and we're going to go straight to his teammate. Luca, welcome into the commentary box once again. Good to see you back.
Mhm.
Just talk me through that race.
What, the sprint and the main one, or just the main one?
Whole thing, qualifying as well. If you want to give us it all.
Yeah, right. So the sprint, it was like really surprisingly good. So like me and Bert just basically cut through everyone, and we are just trying to stay ahead of Chenky. And then he caught up to us, and I basically just kept saying to him, "I'm gonna just try to stay behind you. I don't want to try hold him up massively, but I just want to stay ahead of him." So Bert was just repeatedly giving me DRS, and we just stayed in front of him the whole time. And then there was the thing at the chicane where he spun out. Bert thought he braked too late and took him out. So we waited up for him, let him catch back up, and then Bert ended up getting a pen. And because we waited up, he ended up falling all the way down to fifth. And I got put up back to first. So yeah.
Yeah, not very optimal, and he didn't actually have any. It wasn't his fault in the end. It was just Andrew Chen van outbraked himself.
Mhm.
So that was, of course, the sprint race, and then the main race itself.
I was so confused how I managed to get P3 in quali. Like my lap was awful. Like I had validated on my first run. On my second one, I was on like 15% tires, and I was like I think seventh or something. And on the last one, I was just having a horrible lap. I was only like 2 tenths up into the middle sector, and I managed to get like 8 tenths up by the end. And I think I was just about ahead of Owen. And then in the race, like I didn't realize, but Owen and Ollie figured out that if you get disqualified, I don't know if it's around all tracks, but your tires stay at like a perfect temperature. So they both got intentionally disqualified from it and had perfectly warm tires for the start. So I nearly got jumped by Owen, and then I was free wide with him and Alexis, and then I just turned around and Alexis and Bert had just smashed into the wall with each other, and Bert was kicking off. And then I don't actually know what happened. Apparently Owen had some contact, but it was like a little bit off the curb, and they kind of just hit each other out. And then I don't know if Chenky was like managing in the first stint, but he was like too slow for how quick he usually should be. So I managed to overtake him, and I kind of swapped for him for a bit. And then the safety car came out, and I should have pit, to be honest, because like staying out and trying to hold everyone up was not the play. And I ended up miles behind everyone trying to recover it. And then I ended up nearly crashing like a lap after I came out of the pits, and I lost like I think 3 or 4 seconds. And then I caught back up to Ethan after he overtook me, after he also pit, and then I managed to literally get him on the last lap.
Yeah, you did indeed. Was it the final corner? Because I think I missed that one. Was it the final corner you made the move?
No, it was on the like the main straight. He just had like a really bad run out of turn one. I just got him because I had a bit more battery than him. And then he tried to send it on me in the final chicane from like a few tenths back.
Fair enough. Well, well done for keeping that resolve to keep going.
Mhm.
I mean, that's all from me. Carl, have you got anything?
Yeah, we totally missed that then, didn't we? Because I thought it happened in the bus stop chicane. I was focusing. I think we were focused on Andrew Chenkovan at the time and
Yeah.
how good he was. I was talking about him and Stuart, and then next thing we know, you're coming across the line in third, and we switched to you, and I did see something happening in the bus stop chicane, which I assume by what you've just said was Ethan trying to come back at you. But yeah, unfortunately, I know you like to ask me if your overtakes have got into the broadcast. I'm going to be honest, that one didn't. I do apologise, but. Yeah, but that was obviously a really good showing, and I think so. What I'm gonna say this in the nicest way. What possessed you to not follow everybody? And obviously, you were behind Chenky as a safety car come out. You knew he was gonna box, and you knew what his pace was like. What made you go? You know what? I'm not gonna do what Chenky's doing. I'm gonna do something different.
To be honest, I just didn't think that a one stop would work at all. Like I thought the hards would just be way too bad, even if you were managing. So I thought I'll stay out. Hopefully the safety car lasts until like lap 7 or 8, which I think it ended up doing. I thought I'll just pit at like lap 11, 12 and try catch back up and hope people get like punctures or have to pit again. And it did work because I managed to get ahead of everyone who ended up pitting, but then somehow Owen and Chenky just saved their tyres like unbelievably well without losing that much pace, and I just couldn't catch back up to them.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you gave it a good go. You obviously
Yeah.
still got back on the podium. I mean, there was a potential. You look like you have potential chance for the win today. So I'm sure that will keep you up tonight. But great showing either way. And I think another great podium from you then. So good momentum for you this season. And I'm sure we're going to see you on many more as we continue through the season.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Thank you for your time.
Thank you both.
Yes, that was Lucas Aracini who ended up again. I keep saying that people are performing well tonight, but that's another one that I think's performed well. And we're going to bring into the box now Regan Harding to talk us through his race. Now, Regan, just completely, you can control your own narrative. Talk to me. How was that?
Ireland's weather.
Oh, this is interesting.
So, right, what's the weather forecast looking like?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, sorry, can you hear me?
We can now, yes.
How are we?
Good yourself?
Could be better, to be honest.
Wow, talk me through it then.
Yeah, just I don't know what it is about Spa, but it's like it's just a track that like I love driving, but I'm just so slow at. Like to qualify P6, I was actually pretty happy with that. But then I mean to finish P7 is pretty disappointing. I was hoping for a top 5, to be honest. I knew the hard tires were way worse than the mediums, but so the plan was to kind of get the hards out of the way and then go to mediums. But then obviously the safety car came out, and I kind of knew I was pretty much done from then on in. So yeah, frustrating for sure.
Yeah, certainly can be a little bit frustrating, but what else can be a little bit frustrating is your teammate not being here this evening,
Yeah.
which has not helped you in the standings. And well, of course, you were before this race tied with Haas. You've now, I think, you've just about eked out that gap because of a retirement from Matthew Gatchers. But how scary is the prospect of having to fight with them and the Kicksaubers and Mercedes?
I think it's a lot to deal with, like it's a lot of people you have to kind of beat week in, week out, or at least beat some of them week in, week out. It's definitely not to battle with, especially when like I'm a one-man army. Obviously, last week in Britain, I actually couldn't race because I had wheel issues, which is so frustrating because I felt like that I could have been on for a good result there. Maybe definitely not podium level, but definitely a good result. So it's frustrating. I'm not even lying. When we discussed this last week or the week before, we said, like, are we going to work together as a team? And I kind of thought today, I was like, do you know what? Because the slipstream is so vital here, I will. I'll work. I'll hop on a chat with him and we'll discuss it amongst ourselves. But he's obviously not here, so that never happened.
Yeah, it can be frustrating when your teammate's not there because you are your only point of reference. That's all from me. Carl, have you got anything?
Well, firstly, well done for finishing a race. It's been a good few, so it's been lovely to see you going around on track and actually circulating the track. So yeah, welcome back. You obviously, because of some of the tech issues you've had, you're quite far down in the standings. Obviously, you're with sort of Dan Riley and Brian Moore and them people there. What's the goal going to be now? Going forward this season. I'm sure you can still get good results going forward. We know what your pace is like. But obviously, given that you've no fault of your own, not been able to actually partake in a few races. Yeah, what does it look like? What's your realigned goal now that you know where you are in the standings, kind of at this stage in the championship?
Well, the goal would be to beat Haas and Mercedes and kick in the constructors. That would definitely be it. As for me, I just want to finish above my teammate. I'm gonna just try be here week in week out and just try get the best results I can. It's frustrating. And the other league we're a part of, WRL, I made a mistake, but I went from P14 in Monza last week to possibly finish in P3. So like to go from having such a good race like that to now lose a position and just feel absolutely nowhere is unbelievable. I mean, I think I was running 0-0 wings and I still just had absolutely no pace. So yeah, the goal is definitely to beat them in the constructors and just beat my teammate in the standings. The goal usually is top 5 in the standings, but with the amount of races I have missed just due to technical issues, I highly doubt I'll be able to get that now. So I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, I have brought up the WRO incident on stream, so the viewers are very much aware of that because I was I was behind you for a podium on that one, and unfortunately that happened. Of course, you got I think it was just a one-time penalty if I remember correctly from this race potentially. So I think that's a good showing from you, of course. But yeah, look, I think hopefully your tech issues are resolved, and going forward, you're gonna have no issues, and you're going to be fighting in the championship. Of course, Williams does actually take the 4th position in the championship after this race now, barring anything changing. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing you continue to climb the order and battle your teammate. I mean, I'm sure that battle's going to get spicy towards the end of the season. So, but yeah, thank you for jumping in. Thanks for taking the time, and look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thanks, gentlemen. Until next week.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was Regan, and unless I'm mistaken, that's all of our interviews. I know I've done it before, I've completely forgotten somebody, but I believe that to be it.
That is correct.
Wonderful. Well, in that case, then, that'll be it from ourselves. You got any final words, Carl, before we end off the broadcast?
I mean, yeah, like, what a great race that was. It was, but fell right to the back and stuck at it. Yeah, I think that was great, and obviously ended 5th position in the end. Another great showing from Andrew Chenkovan, and my prediction then of Owen Maldero getting on the podium very much came to fruition. So he can thank me for that one later. Luca Serafini still showing some great pace this season. I'm sure he's going to continue to throw those podiums in and be battling at the top of the championship order. Owen's teammate Ollie obviously got that penalty quite early on. He's not going to be very happy about that. Regan was able to finish a race, and the Kickstabbers and the Hasses probably didn't have a great race from what they would be hoping for. But everybody who finished got points, and I'm sure they'll be very happy about that. Obviously, our retirement's been Matthew Gatchis and Alexis Mason quite early on. But yeah, I think great showing all round. Ethan Shackleton, I'm sure, will be very pleased with that. He did lose the podium on the last lap, but given how bad his season started, he can't complain about that, I'm sure. But yeah, fantastic racing. Very much enjoyed that. Very much enjoyed the sprint as well. I think there's been great racing all around. There's been some incidents, and of course a safety car, very rare safety car for APC this season, it would seem. But I'm very much looking forward to doing it all again next week.
Certainly will be. And well, we have a couple of races to go, of course, before our break week in the season, which will be in a couple of weeks' time. We have Belgium this week, Hungary the next, and Zandvoort afterwards, although according to Luca Saraceni, who knows what sort of order he's expecting us to be racing in. But we will be at Hungary in 7 days' time. So until then, it is goodbye. The action's underway. Stamps' authority once again.
My word, this could go wrong. On the brakes, goodness me, what a launch!
Look at that.
It just all comes down to this.